Everybody lift your hands up. Sing about what you are dreaming. Always stand up. Raise up the flag that you believe in. Gotta keep up. We'll get past everyone that's in our way. Let's head on, never stopping. Only look up, keep your head up, way up high. Always step up, if waves are up, jump to the sky. Never give up, our wishes they will come together and lead us on towards our future. Hands up. Alright, another one of these days. Another one of these days. Yeah, same old, same old. Another day, another day, another day. Another day, another day, another day. Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking to do. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What's going on, guys? Just doing a couple things here. Uh-huh. Yeah, we can take that off. I don't even know why this is here. Uh-huh. Alright. And now we could do this. I really need more openings to listen to. Actually, who knows? I might actually have to watch Dr. Stone. Alright, come on. Just do this last thing. And we will be good to go. And, alright. So, I think we should be good to go. Maybe I'll probably pull up one last thing. My apologies for this. You know how it is whenever you're setting something up. Alright. So. Oh, that's not the screen I'm supposed to be on. So, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your night. So, obviously, y'all know how things go when it comes to the Ravens. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. If it's not a heartbreaking loss, it's a stressful game that comes down to the wire. So you're always going to feel some type of emotion when you're watching the Ravens game, and that's just how it is when it comes to being a Ravens fan for the most part. It's just endless emotion, and it's just something we just deal with on a weekly basis. But hey, it's part of what makes football interesting, and you got to deal with the ups and downs that come with that. Either you deal with the stress and it pays off with a win, or you deal with the stress and it rewards you with a heartbreaking loss. However you look at it is however you look at it for the most part. But yeah, so basically what I'm going to do this season, because we always love to bring up the therapy sessions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to host this therapy session every single week. See, one thing people forget is that with therapy, there's some good and some bad. You don't always go to your therapist. If you do have a therapist, you do go to therapy, not every session has to be a negative aspect. A lot of people sit back and think, oh yeah, when you go to therapy, you're just airing out your grievances, all the things that hurt you, the emotional stuff. There could be some good stuff in there too. You could be having a really good week and tell your therapist about it. There's ups and downs. So because of that, I want to do this every week. Whether or not the Ravens win or lose, I want to host a therapy session every single week just to talk about the game and get the emotional feel and overall the emotional state of Ravens flock, because it is something we need to do. As football fans, we know how emotional this game can be. Even after a victory, it can still be emotional. So we'll be here after every weekly game. Maybe it'll be the following day, maybe it'll be the day afterwards, who knows. But we will host at least one weekly therapy session after every Ravens game. We might host a therapy session during the bye week, but that'll probably just be to assess how the first half of the season went for the most part. So yeah, before I get into some of the things that we will have to talk about here, let me check some of this chat real quick. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on, Venzo? What's going on, Corey? What's going on to everybody in the chat? There's only one way the Ravens can win a Super Bowl. Clone Tyler Linderbaum. That wouldn't exactly work because you don't know if Linderbaum can play left tackle. You don't know if he can play left guard or right tackle, right guard. I would love to have 5 Tyler Linderbaums in terms of capability, but let's have 5 Linderbaums in terms of how they perform in that specific role. That would be great. But no one really has a perfect offensive line. You're going to have some ups and downs with the line. You just want a solid line that can do their job consistently because you can't protect your quarterback forever. But you got to give him time to throw the ball. And that's kind of the whole aspect that we have to deal with throughout the entire season. The offensive line is a work in progress, and I'm sure that's one of the topics we'll be talking about today. What's up, bro? I'm a big fan of the channel. I've been watching since Ravens-Titans playoff game. Appreciate you, Isaac. Appreciate you. I'm not a Ravens fan, but I'm a keeping a real fan. I appreciate that. Thank you all for the love and support. I'm glad I wasn't there to watch the fourth quarter. Demon Reacts, if you would have watched the fourth quarter, that would have been an emotional wreck, man. Oh my God. It's one of the most heartbreaking losses you could watch. As a football fan, that was one of the most energetic endings. I'm not going to lie. Like, legitimately, if you're a football fan, you want to see the Ravens and Chiefs meet up again. You hope you get that type of matchup in the playoffs because that type of ending was fantastic. That was a fantastic end to the football game, bro. The Ravens literally lost by a toe. And I literally mean they lost by a toe because Harbaugh was going to go for 2. Oh, my God. That having the whole aspect of that final drive could be written down. And that could be a whole video itself because no timeouts, under 2 minutes to go, have to travel 87 yards in Kansas City, and we lose because of a toe. That could have been a defining statement. We have no clue what would have happened on the 2-point conversion, but I would have at least liked to have gotten there. Either you win it there, you don't. You're in Kansas City. I told you guys Harbaugh would go for 2 if it was there. But, it is what it is when it comes to that. Anyway, Demon Reacts, you would have enjoyed one hell of a game, but as a Ravens fan, it would have been so stressful, man. Because the fight that we've been waiting to see from the Ravens, they showed in the fourth quarter. They just came up short. We need the purebred and corn-fed Midwestern white man blogging for Lamar. I want nothing more. That's a good one. 13 carries. Why did we bring him here? Oh, yeah, that will probably be another topic of discussion here. Derrick Henry getting 13 carries. I don't think it was terrible for him to have only 13 carries. I feel like you have to have him around 20, but I don't think it's terrible to have him have 13 carries, given the fact that you were down by multiple scores. So at some point you just had to switch towards throwing the football. But there were times where they just had Justice Hill in, and they could have had Derrick Henry in, especially on some of those final plays where you had Chris Jones being blocked by Justice Hill. Why is Justice Hill blocking Chris Jones on those final 2 throws? I have no idea. Falele is one of the worst things that happened to this Ravens offensive line. Nah, we've y'all still remember Villanueva? Trust me, we've seen just as bad, if not worse. How much college football you watch? I do watch some college football, especially this season compared to last season. Unfortunately, my squad, my boys didn't get it done. They lost. My boys in Maryland, they didn't get it done today. So it is what it is there. But I watch some college football. I try to keep up with some of this. Either way, I got Jaden Daniels time tomorrow. Should be fun. Either way, I got a few things that I want to kind of bullet point in terms of things that need to be talked about. First of all, before we even get into that, I want to implore you guys, and I know, this aspect of content, it's big. This aspect of sports content is big, and this is what we do. And I know a lot of people are willing to feed into it and make content and deal with it. But, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. You want to get into that aspect and deal with it. Me, personally, I'm not interested in dealing with it. I'm not interested in engaging with it. I'm not interested in dealing with it or engaging with it. I'm not even interested in making content involving it. I'm just not. If you want to, feel free to. If you guys want to engage it, feel free to. What I'm talking about is the media, okay? The last few seasons, I'm going to be honest, I have not been engaging the media in terms of their talks towards the Ravens. I'm not wasting my time with that nonsense. Anytime they talk about the Ravens, it's the same thing. First of all, when they talk about the Ravens, they don't talk about the Ravens as a team. They don't. You'll get occasional discussions and talks about John Harbaugh because he's the head coach, but they don't talk about the Ravens. They just talk about Lamar. I'm not there to just watch them talk about one player when it's a team game. And I don't care if he's a superstar quarterback. I don't care if he's a two-time MVP. Obviously, you have to talk about him, but this is a team game. The media does not cover the Ravens. They just cover Lamar Jackson. The Ravens just happen to be the team he plays for. And we already know yesterday, which, I mean, me personally, I didn't watch a single sports show. I wasn't on Twitter to see the fest of how that was going. I was off social media. I was at work. I finished work. I chilled out. I did anything else. I was just living my life. I did not engage with any of this. I implore you guys to do the same. So I don't exactly know everything that was being said, but I can guarantee you I can make a guess. Number one, they talked about Lamar. They didn't talk about the Ravens. So you probably didn't get a lot of people that sit back and discuss the fact that the offensive line was putrid. First of all, no one addressed the penalties. I guarantee you, maybe one or two of the people in the media addressed the offensive line. But little to nobody addressed the offensive line, both with the penalties and the poor blocking. I guarantee they didn't do that. So they didn't talk about the poor blocking. They didn't talk about some of the defensive mishaps and miscommunications, such as the situation that happened with Marlon Humphrey that led to the Xavier Worthy touchdown. They didn't talk about that. They probably didn't talk about Mahomes getting picked off too. They didn't talk about Mahomes having somewhat of a poor game. They did not. When they talked about this, I guarantee you, they talked about Lamar Jackson. They looked at his performance. They emphasized the fact that he missed some throws. They probably talked about the fact that he sat back and missed Isaiah Likely. No matter how the discussion is, Lamar himself explained it. People have looked at it and said, yeah, that's the case. He was looking for Bateman. The play was to go to Bateman for that pass. He was looking at Bateman. He wasn't even paying attention to Zay. It wasn't until he looked towards his left, saw Zay open last minute, and he had to get the ball out fast because for some random reason, Justice Hill was blocking Chris Jones. So he had to get it off fast. And Zay Flowers was running across the field. He had a spot. There was a soft spot in the zone where the receiver usually in these situations should stay. Zay did not stay there. He kept going. Lamar threw it to that soft spot of the zone. Zay's right here. And if you saw Zay's reaction, you could tell he knew he messed up. But I'm sure the media just sat back and said Lamar just missed the throw. I know how the media is going to work. Lamar just missed the throw. Okay? They're not there to be objective. They're there to create narratives and bring attention. And a lot of people that feed into that are going to say the same thing. And this is not me doing the whole defense thing because, again, there are actual pieces of evidence that you could show. The Zay Flowers miss is not Lamar Jackson, but y'all going to utilize it to criticize him when, in fact, it's the receiver's fault, not Lamar Jackson's fault. You know what Lamar Jackson's fault is? On 1st and goal, he tried to go to Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely was open in the back of the end zone. You didn't give him a chance. You threw that ball way too high. You did not give your receiver a chance to go down with that ball. That was a terrible throw by Lamar. Poor throw. There was also a point early in the game where Isaiah Likely got open in the seam down the field. Lamar should have put it on Isaiah Likely instead of floating the ball. He floated the ball, gave the safety time to recover, and the safety nearly picked it off. That's another poor throw by Lamar Jackson. Lamar had a few poor throws and a few poor decisions in this game. I have no problem criticizing him, but you have to criticize the right thing. But I know the media didn't do that. They'll just totalize all the throws and just say it was in the same category. They'll say the Zay Flowers one is his fault when it's not. And they'll just say, hey, it's the same thing. Lamar can't get it done in the big games, yada, yada, yada. I know the story, okay? I know how the media is going to go. It's the same thing. So what? Because I'm literally listening to the same nonsense year in and year out, I have no interest in engaging with this. I didn't even have to watch. I didn't watch a single sports show yesterday. All the topics in the world in regarding to Lamar. Every single network was on Lamar's head. And I sat back and told you guys at the end of the game, nobody's going to care about the offensive line playing poorly. Nobody's going to care about the penalties. Nobody's going to care about the defensive mishaps. Nobody's going to care about the poor decision or poor game planning by John Harbaugh. Nobody's going to care about the terrible or inconsistent or poor, however you want to describe Todd Monken's play calling. Nobody's going to care about the fact that Derrick Henry was on the sideline during the most crucial moments of this game. Nobody's going to care about that. At the end of the day, the top of the storyline is going to be Lamar Jackson missing Zay Flowers wide open in the back of the end zone, and it's another example why Lamar Jackson can't throw the football. I know the story. So why am I going to waste my time watching the same narrative over and over again? I implore you guys not to engage with it. I implore you guys to not engage with it. Now for the content creators, hey man, do what you got to do. whatever you gotta do to get that content up, I'm all for it. Hell, I support that. I'll watch some of it too. Because I know y'all seeing this and it's burning you up. And you feel the need to talk about it. So I support it. Me personally, I'm not engaging with it. I've been doing it for years. I'm not doing it. Okay? I'm just not. But I know about the content creators. Even content creators here, people on Twitter, they'll constantly show video quotes of the media saying this about Lamar and that about Lamar. I'm not interested in engaging with that, bro. I'm not. So I'll tell you straight up this year, I'm just not. I'm not getting engaged with the media's nonsense. I know what they're going to talk about for Lamar. I know what they're going to talk about. I'm not here to listen to the same thing regurgitated over and over again. I implore you guys to not get involved, but again, you guys can make your own choices. You get involved, you get pissed off, it riles you up, it boils your blood, and you feel the need to speak on it, or you feel the need to tweet something, feel free to do so. Me, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not wasting my time listening to the same nonsense over and over and over and over again, because I know what the media is going to talk about. Didn't watch a single one of those Lamar takes yesterday, and I know exactly what they discussed. I'm sure people took shots at him and said, hey, I can make that throw. That throw he missed, that's easy. That's a play he's got to have. He can't miss that throw. If you want to beat Mahomes, you got to make those type of plays. He still can't get over the hump, still can't beat Mahomes. I know what they're going to say. So why am I going to waste time watching the same thing over and over again? And now that that game with Kansas City has passed, why in the hell would I continue to watch this knowing that nothing's going to change? That game has passed. Lamar cannot do anything. Oh, they compared Lamar Jackson to Russell Westbrook? Oh, Ryan Clark did that? I'm not surprised. I don't know why Ryan Clark would compare him to Russell Westbrook. I would say more so James Harden. Russell Westbrook never took his team out the first round. Lamar Jackson got to a conference championship. So I don't think using Russell Westbrook would work in that case. Somebody got to tell Ryan Clark that he's got the wrong player. I wouldn't use Russell Westbrook. I'd use James Harden. Because James Harden has at least led his team to the Western Conference Finals. So I would use James Harden instead of Russell Westbrook in that one. I'm not going to tweet that to Ryan Clark. If someone wants to reach out to Ryan Clark and say, hey, bro, you got the wrong comparison. That's not a good comparison. You should use James Harden in this case, not Russell Westbrook. That would be the comparison to utilize. Because James Harden, straight up top 5 player, when he was in his prime in Houston, top 5 player, Hall of Fame bound. Can't use Joel Embiid because Lamar, again, has gotten out the second round. You cannot use Joel Embiid. Cannot. Up until last year, maybe. Because up until last year, you could. Because coming off of last year, dealing with injuries when we need you most, can't get out of the divisional round, it made sense. But last year, he stayed healthy. He got to the AFC title game. So that Joel Embiid conversation, that kind of gets thrown out the window. He stepped up in the divisional game and got it done. So I can't use the Joel Embiid conversation anymore. Now it's more so James Harden. Because now you got to the title game and you're not getting it done. So I can't even use Joel Embiid in this case. That's why I use James Harden. James Harden, when he was in his prime, Houston James Harden in his prime was a top 5 player for legit future Hall of Famer. Legit future Hall of Famer. Just unique talent. Then he got to the playoffs, and in the biggest moments, he was nowhere to be found or he played poorly. That's where I would go with it. I would use James Harden for the most part. That's just me. What about Dame Dollar? Dame was never seen as a legit top 5 player, though. Dame never won an MVP and was never seen as a top 5 player. He was seen as a top 5 point guard, but he was never seen as a top 5 player. So I can't use Damian Lillard. And yeah, Damian Lillard got to a conference championship, too. He did get to Western Conference Finals. But in that case, it wasn't really Damian Lillard. If you go back and look at that second round versus the Nuggets, Damian Lillard past game 2 was not exactly the greatest of things. Hell, if CJ didn't perform the way he did in game 7, they don't even make it to the Western Conference Finals. So it's hard for me to put Damian Lillard in that one. Especially because, again, he was never really viewed as a top 5 player. Top 5 point guard? Absolutely. Top 5 player? No. I don't think of it. I can't remember a time where they legitimately sat back and said he was a top 5 player. So that would be a tough one. Lamar Jackson is a very good quarterback, in my opinion. The Ravens will win 14 to 15 games this season. I'm going to be honest, bro. I left that game and watched that and said, yep. Like, after the Chiefs loss, I sat back and looked at that and said, yeah, based on what I saw from the Ravens, they're going to be a playoff team for sure. Like there's no doubt in my mind they're gonna win at least 12 games based on how Lamar performed and how that team looked. They're gonna be a playoff game. The question is, if they meet Kansas City again, can they get the job done? That's it. I have no concerns or worry about the Ravens in terms of playoff hopes. I left that game thinking, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think there's anything that I saw from there. With the way Lamar played, I don't see the way Lamar played. In some cases, how he performed down the stretch in some of these moments. If you're playing against 99% of the league, you probably win that game. So I'm not even concerned about the Ravens' playoff chances. I absolutely believe they will be in the postseason. I got them at 12-5. I did say one of the losses would be to Kansas City just because I don't believe this team is ready to get over the hump. They have to prove it to me. And they have not proven it to me. And the reason why I said I don't believe they're going to get over the hump is because John Harbaugh has yet to show me that he learns from his mistakes when it comes to coaching against Andy Reid. That's my biggest thing. Harbaugh's still doing the same old things. And as long as he continues to make the same old mistakes and do the same old things, you either got to hope and pray Lamar can pull off a miracle, or you just got to sit there and deal with the fact that we're not going to beat the Chiefs. Because I just don't trust Harbaugh in these games. I don't. I don't trust Harbaugh in the head-to-head matchup against Tomlin and the head-to-head matchup against Andy Reid. Those two guys, Harbaugh just seems to lose his head, and the team's never ready to play, and they just constantly hurt themselves. So, again, in the matchup against the Chiefs in January, if we do have that, which is too far away to even assess, if we did end up getting that, a possible matchup there, it would have to come down to Lamar doing it, because I don't trust Harbaugh in that type of situation. He'll just get out-coached by Andy Reid again. What's up, keeping it real? Who do you feel that loss was on? I think it's a team loss as a whole. I don't want to specifically put it on a specific person. I looked at the offensive line. I give them a huge chunk of the blame because of the endless penalties that were killing drives. Lamar had like a 30-yard run, and it was taken away on a holding call, which looked very flagrant. I mean, it was just a terrible call, but you know, it is what it is. So that hurt it, but just the offense as a whole. Did you take a look at the gauntlet? Literally, they were trying to get every possible penalty you can get. Illegal formation, delay of game, false start, holding, offensive pass interference. I was waiting for a tripping call. I mean, they were trying to get everything. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, I look at the offense and that offensive line. They hold a huge part of the blame. The defense in some of the biggest moments didn't hold. When we got into a three-point game, they let Mahomes go out there and get the easiest touchdown he possibly get. The miscommunication in the defense led to Marlon Humphrey being exploited yet again, which he took some heat for that, which left Xavier Worthy wide open for an easy touchdown, and all of a sudden we're back down by 10. And it's just like we have a good moment to do something, gets taken away, defense doesn't do the job in the biggest moments. Still work in progress. So there's a lot to really look at. I don't really put the loss on any specific person. I look at the offensive line. If the offensive line was doing their job, Lamar wouldn't have to run for his life. The fact that Lamar is still having to rush for over 100+ yards because he has to scramble for his life, that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. So I would look at the offensive line. I'd look at the play calling. I think Todd Monken did not call a good game. I think the lack of utilization in the second half of Derrick Henry was a problem. I think John Harbaugh's decision-making at times, especially when he decided to go for it on fourth down, at the midfield, I just didn't like that decision. The miscommunication, the lack of execution on that fourth down play, miscommunication throughout the defense. There's just a lot to really look at. I think it was a whole team's loss. Lamar himself has to take some of the blame because he missed some throws. He definitely missed some throws, and Lamar's got to bite it. But I did say at the end of the stream, it doesn't matter that I look at it like a team loss. At the end of the day, the loss is going to fall on Lamar Jackson because the storyline, which again, you guys probably watched the sports channels yesterday, the storyline was Lamar Jackson missing a wide open Zay Flowers for a touchdown. That was the storyline. So, in terms of who that loss is going to be on, me personally, I look at it as a team loss, but I know it's going to be put on Lamar. Because even though it's not really on him, the storyline was Lamar missed a wide open Zay Flowers for the touchdown. That's all that needs to be said. Yeah, James Harden's a good one. Got to the conference finals. Former MVP agreed. Not only that, but James Harden, when he was at his best in Houston, was considered a top 5 player. Lamar Jackson is considered a top 5 player. So it's the exact same conversation. Not to mention, James Harden had to get through such a tough team. in order to get, when he got to the conference championship, the only team he's faced in the conference finals was the Warriors, and specifically trying to go through Steph Curry. And here we are trying to get through Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team. So the comparisons is very, very on point. Thoughts on what Isaiah Likely said after the game? I have, again, it's such an up and down thing. I remember when I was at work yesterday when I first saw that quote, and I'm like, come on, man, what's going on here? Why is Isaiah Likely going off like this? This is the worst game we're going to play, so if that's their best, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. What? What are you talking about? You did not just say that about the defending two-time champions that are trying to three-peat. You know that wasn't their best. Did Mahomes look like he was at his best to you? That was not the Chiefs' best. Mahomes, again, I think this needs to be explained. Lamar outplayed Mahomes in that game. Doesn't matter. Mahomes won the game. But Lamar played better than Mahomes. Mahomes didn't look like himself. It's week 1. He's trying to knock off the rust. That was not the Chiefs' best. So Isaiah Likely saying if that's their best, we'll see what happens in the play. Come on, man. I looked at that and just lost my mind. I'm just like, man, you giving legitimately bulletin board material to the Chiefs. They're going to remember him saying that. But at the same time, I appreciate the fire from Isaiah Likely. I appreciate Nick Wright doing that. Of course he did. Who the hell cares what Nick Wright's got to say? Now that Skip Bayless is gone, Nick Wright's the new Skip Bayless. They've given him all the control to the network. That show has been expanded to even more time, and Nick Wright has a bigger seat. Nick Wright has learned from the book of Skip Bayless. Trolling, talking trash, and being arrogant is exactly what's going to work for you. He's at the right place at the right time in his Chiefs are a dynasty. If the Cowboys were winning championships, Skip Bayless would have been doing the exact same thing Nick Wright's doing now. So who cares? He could put it on his bulletin board. Nobody cares about that weak bulletin board. It's garbage. Nick is never wrong. Yes, he is. Nick is always wrong. He's always wrong. Stop doing this nonsense. This dude will have wrong take after wrong take, but he always has the Chiefs to rely on. Dude, he sat back and said last year the Ravens wouldn't make the playoffs. He sat back and said, I'm just giving you 2 examples. Ravens wouldn't make the playoffs last year. And the prince that was promised in Trevor Lawrence was going to become a top 5 quarterback and all this other stuff. Neither one of those things happened last year. He was wrong. Nick Wright gives you wrong take after wrong take after wrong take. You know where he's never wrong? With the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs back up his claims, he will sit back and excuse all the wrong things. He was wrong about the Cowboys and Dak too. He was wrong. He'll give you wrong take after wrong take after wrong take. But because the Chiefs keep winning, everybody will ignore that because it validates him. At the end of the day, I picked the Chiefs to win and I picked Mahomes to win MVP, so it doesn't matter that I was wrong about Trevor Lawrence. It doesn't matter that I was wrong about the Ravens. It doesn't matter that I was wrong about Dak. It doesn't matter that I was wrong about Brock Purdy. The Chiefs won the championship, so I'm right. He'll give you awful takes and then rely on the Chiefs to save him. If the Chiefs weren't doing what they're doing, it would be wrong in everything. So no, I'm not giving you credit for picking a dynasty for consistently winning, especially because it's your team that you've been supporting all your life that just happens to be the dynasty. Patriots fans would do that too. If there was a Patriots fan on television doing what Nick Wright was doing during the time Brady was winning championships, if they were wrong about the Colts, if they were wrong about the Steelers, if they were wrong about the Ravens, but hey, Patriots won at the end of the day, it's all good. Like, come on, bro. You can't give wrong takes, but because you were right about one thing, you can just exploit that. It's the same nonsense he tried to pull when he was wrong about Nikola Jokic and that Denver team. The only difference is they proved him wrong. They won the championship. Like, come on, bro. You're not going to give him credit and say he's never wrong when he's giving you wrong take after wrong take. But because the Chiefs are winning, it all of a sudden erases all the wrong takes he had. That's not how that works. You're giving multiple bad takes and you're picking the easy target. Who didn't pick the Chiefs? I even said here last year, until you beat them, the Chiefs are guaranteed to be in the Super Bowl. And guess what? Coming into this year, until you beat them, the Chiefs are guaranteed to be in the Super Bowl. Is that a difficult take to pick the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Get out of here with that nonsense. Dudes give you wrong take after wrong take, but because of one thing being right, which most people predicted coming into the year last year anyway, because of one thing. Well, I mean, you picked the Ravens. That's good for you. Because of one thing, all of a sudden, it erases all the bad takes. And yet, he said the Chiefs will play the Bears in the Super Bowl. He said the Bears will be playing in the Super Bowl. He put Caleb Williams as a top 5 quarterback already. If that doesn't work out, do you think he's going to care if the Chiefs win a championship? Don't sit back and excuse this man's nonsense. Just because you got one thing right, it's not excuse the several takes you got wrong. Alright, but yeah, about Isaiah Likely, again, on one hand, I sat back and said you just gave the Chiefs bulletin board material, and I hope you are ready to back it up. But on the other hand, I appreciate the fire and intensity, because they're trying to make this a rivalry. But right now, this rivalry is as much as a rivalry as the Sixers and Celtics are. We're always getting the crap kicked out of us, and they keep winning. So, like Joel Embiid really said, it's not really a rivalry. Just saying. It's not really a rivalry, but we're trying to make it a rivalry. We're always on the losing end, though. So, either step up and get it done or keep losing. That's just how it is. We talk about Isaiah Likely versus Mark Andrews and getting this narrative out the way. People are already overreacting and saying that Isaiah Likely's already overtaken Mark Andrews as wide receiver 1. I think people forgot that Mark Andrews got into a car accident, missed half a training camp, and didn't return until like a week before the game. I wouldn't assume that he would automatically be balling out in the week 1. Not to mention, it's literally one game. You know what's funny? Mark Andrews didn't do anything in week 1 of last year, too. Did you realize that? Go back and check that game. What did Mark Andrews do against the Texans in week 1? Virtually nothing. Week 2, he got on the board. Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. I'm not going to sit here and be overly concerned because he really didn't do much in week 1. The man literally returned to practice a week before the game. Maybe even less than that. He's barely had time to practice. Like, let's just stop. Let's just stop. Let's just stop. He didn't play in the game against the Texans? Was he out? Did he suffer an injury? I could have sworn he played in that game against the Texans. I could have sworn he did. Maybe I might actually be missing that. Did he suffer an injury before the season started? Because I remember Marlon suffered a season before the injury suffered. So I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I could be mistaken. Maybe I could be mistaken. I can always... Someone be sure to go look that up again for the most part. But I could be mistaken for the most part. Do you think that John Harbaugh will be in the hot seat if the Ravens don't make the Super Bowl? No, because as long as the team's making the playoffs and competing for a title, the Ravens seem content with that. So they're not going to fire Harbaugh. They're just not. Lamar has to do way much. Why is Henry not getting used there? Go ask John Harbaugh. Go ask Todd Monken that question. Lamar, that scene where Lamar was yelling at his offensive lineman, be ready to see that through 17 games. Lamar's going to be doing a lot of screaming at those guys. So either step up or continue to put this man at risk. Let's all hate the Bills for allowing them to pick up Xavier Worthy. I could care less. I could care less about the Bills doing that. Fun fact: the Bills actually also allowed Mahomes to go to the Chiefs as well. The trade. There was a trade that was made to get a specific pick that actually allowed the Chiefs to get Mahomes. So Mahomes and Worthy are the 2 picks. Those 2 picks are that the Chiefs got is directly because of the Bills. So congratulate the Bills for that. Hope we don't win the division because we only win when we're underdogs. We were the underdogs in this game and we lost, so I don't know how that's going to hold up. The offensive line couldn't block it for Henry. Yeah, getting blown up at the point of attack. Like, legitimately, there was no holes. He couldn't get anything. He was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. So unless the offensive line plays better, Henry's not going to be able to do much. John Harbaugh needs to take accountability for the loss of the game. Yes, they need to fix the offensive line. Yeah, I mean, you'd say that, but I doubt anyone's going to really take responsibility. It's just going to be Lamar putting it on himself and Harbaugh sitting back and saying we got some work to do. I saw there was some good things. We did some good things. I like some of the things we said. We did. I like that we played hard. We played tough. We played physical. There were just some plays that didn't go our way. We'll just look to improve on that and yada, yada, yada. It's the same talk Harbaugh always has. Still can't believe that after that year that Lamar got hurt, we're still talking about how bad the O-line is. It's the same story with the Ravens. New Year, same nonsense. It seems like they don't have the patience to use Henry, so why did they even sign him? Well, it's less about them not having the patience and more about this offensive line giving them no opportunities to even utilize him. But at the same time, I don't even know why he's not in the game late in the games in some of these moments. They use Justice Hill late in the game over him, and then you have Justice Hill trying to block Chris Jones on the final 2 pass plays. Yeah, that's going to help. Our players had some controversial things they said after the game. Yeah, I'm sure, because they're heated and pissed that they lost. But what else is new? The Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls, and he's talking like they won't be ready for the playoffs. Yeah, Isaiah Likely running his mouth is surely not going to come back to bite us. But at the end of the day, history is made by the winners. Isaiah Likely set the tone by running his mouth, and if the Ravens and Chiefs meet in the playoffs again, I hope he's ready to deliver. And I hope he can deliver on the way to the team winning. Because if he does, that quote that he gave in Week 1 is going to be emphasized in a positive way. If not, that quote he gave in Week 1 is going to be emphasized in a negative way. He has the opportunity. He and the team have the opportunity to write their own story. We'll see how that quote ages. I agree. Likely shouldn't have said it. He let his emotion come out. He was still thinking about his toe being in white, and I know y'all sent the clip of him going into the tunnel. I saw it. Yeah, he just straight up went off on that fan. Hey, these players are human beings too. Trust me. These players are human beings, and if you talk to them a certain way, they're gonna pop off. So I'm not even surprised. I don't blame any player for popping off on a fan. These fans can get nasty. These guys are human beings. I don't care that they're millionaires. They're still human beings, and human beings are gonna pop off if you say certain things to them. Do you think the Broncos will make the playoffs this season? They're in a tough conference. I don't know. I think they're going to have a better record than they had last year, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a very tough one to really look. I'm interested in seeing how things are going to go for Denver this year. I mean, for the most part, you pretty much got everything that you're looking for the most part in terms of some talent here and there. But I guess it comes down to how Bo Nix is going to play in his rookie year. So I guess you look at that. I don't know. However Bo Nix plays is however Bo Nix plays. I think it comes down to that. But I don't know if I can fully sit back and say the Broncos are going to make the playoffs this season. They'll have a better record. That's how I'll say it. We'll bounce back with the Raiders plus 21 Ravens. Again, I'm going to be very honest. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens win like 6 of the next 8 games. I would not be surprised. Again, the Ravens are going to make the playoffs. As long as they're healthy, they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not concerned about the loss. At this point, everyone's just sitting back and saying when it comes to the Ravens, you just got to wait till January. Nick is the NFL version of Dave Meltzer. Not a bad point. Not a bad point at all. Likely is better than Andrews in my opinion, and the offense ran better with Likely as tight end 1 than Andrews at tight end 1 last year. Likely has he's definitely more talented. He's more athletic. He's more talented. So the argument's gonna be made there. But again, Mark Andrews, his resume's out there. We know what he brings to the table, and he still will be utilized. So we can make the arguments about who's better than who. Feel free to. I could care less. I just want to see this team win. Andrews chokes too much. If you want to make that argument, feel free to make that argument. I truly do not care. I just want to see this team win, and I want to utilize both our tight ends. You can choose who's tight end 1. I personally don't care who's tight end 1 and who's tight end 2, as long as both of them are balling out. Every time Mark is in the lineup, Lamar's always forcing him the ball, but when Likely's in the lineup, he's spreading the ball around. Yeah, because Mark is his guy. And when you spent 6 years having one consistent weapon to utilize, you're going to force him the ball. My boy, you're going to have a great season. Don't worry. I think y'all go 13-4 at worst. Like I said, Deshaun, I was not really worried or concerned after the loss. I left that game and said, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. But because, again, everything I saw from that game told me the Ravens are going to make the playoffs. Everything I saw from Lamar told me they're going to make the playoffs. It's just once you get to the postseason, what are you going to do if you match up against Mahomes and the Chiefs? That's what a concern is. But I'm not concerned about the team in terms of their playoff chances. They'll win 12 games, in my opinion. So I had coming into this, I put the record, the Ravens record at 12-5, and I had us losing to the Chiefs in the regular season. So nothing really matters for the most part. Ravens is just a good regular season team, nothing more. I mean, that's pretty much been the case in the Lamar Jackson era. Actually, it's been the case since the Super Bowl. Like, since the Super Bowl, we've just been a good regular season team. Like, so since the Super Bowl, post-Super Bowl, we have just been a good regular season. Actually, no, post-Super Bowl, we haven't even been a good regular season. Because from 2013 to 2017, well, 2013 and 2018 when Lamar came in, we weren't even a good regular season team. We were a decent regular season team. We made the playoffs in 2014. That was cool. But other than that, we were a decent regular season team, and we missed the playoffs 3 straight years. We were about to miss it 4 straight years before Lamar saved us. And then the Lamar Jackson era, we've been a good we've had seasons where we've been good, and we've had seasons where we've been a great regular season team. So that's just how it is. But come playoff time, this team has yet to put it together because they can't get out of their own way. They can't stop hurting themselves. It's the same story. As long as Mahomes is playing, Ravens will never win a Super Bowl. You could say that for a lot of teams. You could say as long as Mahomes is playing, the Bills won't win a Super Bowl. As long as Mahomes is playing, the Niners won't win a Super Bowl. You can say that about a lot of teams. And the same was said in Brady's era, but people still won championships in Brady's era. So it is what it is. We'll just have to wait and see. You're entitled to your opinion, but this idea that as long as this guy's there, no one else, like this team will never win a Super Bowl. I can say the same thing about the Bills. I can say the same thing about anybody in the AFC. I can say the same thing about these teams coming out of the NFC because if they face Mahomes in the Super Bowl, he'll probably win. The only Super Bowl loss he has is against Brady and the Bucs, and Brady's not coming back. So that argument can be made. We're just picking the Ravens just because we want to pick the Ravens. But that argument can be made about any team right now. It's not just the Ravens. As long as Mahomes is doing what he's doing, anybody could do it. And again, it's not even just Mahomes. It's just the team as a whole. I know you guys like to just assume Mahomes is just doing it by himself the way y'all tried to assume Brady did it by himself. But it takes a team effort to win. Mahomes didn't do anything defensively in this game. He's not the one that was terrorizing the offensive line. That was Chris Jones. He's not the one that forced that strip sack. Again, it was Chris Jones. Guys have to go out there and make plays. I know you guys like to act like the quarterback's the only player that's out there on the team, but it is still a team game. And it's very convenient how y'all like to do it. When it comes to losses, you won't blame it on the quarterback, or you'll try to make excuses for the quarterback. When it comes to wins, it's all him. Like, you understand guys have to make plays. Like in this game for the Ravens. I know Lamar was doing everything in his power to help the team, but somebody needed to come along with him, and that was Isaiah Likely. It's a team sport. The fact that y'all want to give it to one guy as if the team doesn't have to show up both offensively and defensively to do their job is always going to be crazy to me. The biggest play in the AFC title game was nothing Mahomes did. It was Snead knocking the ball out of Zay Flowers' hands. That ultimately turned the game. But we'll just give credit to Mahomes because we always give credit to the quarterback. The way y'all want to assess these games and the way y'all want to assess these teams, feel free to do it. But I always look at the team as a whole. I don't just give the credit to one guy. Yes, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game. He's competing for the GOAT title. That's great. But it takes a team to win. Brady's not sitting here with 7 wins if it wasn't for his team showing up. He doesn't beat the Seahawks if they just hand the ball off. Malcolm Butler had to make that play. That had nothing to do with Tom Brady. Guys have to make plays. It's a team game. So this idea of as long as Mahomes playing, the Ravens will never win the Super Bowl. No, as long as Mahomes is doing his thing, as long as Travis Kelce's doing his thing, as long as Andy Reid's the head coach, as long as Spags is calling the plays for that defense, as long as Chris Jones is terrorizing quarterbacks, the Ravens won't win a Super Bowl. It's a team game. Stop doing this quarterback nonsense. Because Mahomes in that game in that game Thursday was not the primary reason they won. It once again came down to the defense making plays. But you guys will just give it credit to one guy. So do what you want to do. It's the same thing for Ravens fans. They'll act like Lamar Jackson's the only one out there when somebody has to still catch these passes and defense still has to make plays. It's a team game, but y'all want to act like one guy just completely determines everything. All right, cool. Do you. Todd Monken is really getting to G-Row levels of bad. Every other play is a wide receiver screen. At least Greg Roman didn't spam one play over and over again. Yeah, he needs to let go of those wide receiver screens. They're not doing anything. Like, buddy, if you see it's not working, let it go. Enough with the wide receiver screens to Zay Flowers. It's not working. The face Henry had after the game was, wow, I got to play behind this line for the rest of the year. Yeah, that's going to be a whole thing. He better strap in because, like, this line is not doing good. It's a work in progress. We already knew it was going to be a work in progress. So, they better get to work and fix this fast. Who's going to be the better team this year, Cleveland or Pittsburgh? I think Cleveland has the more talent. And Cleveland, it comes down to Deshaun Watson. I'm going to be honest. Pittsburgh's going to be gritty. Pittsburgh's going to fight. Pittsburgh's going to find a way to finish above 500. But Cleveland's the more talented team. Cleveland has I'm not going to say way more, but Cleveland has more talent than Pittsburgh. And if you look at Cleveland's roster, they can contend for a Super Bowl right now. It all comes down to the quarterback. Same thing for Pittsburgh to an extent, but again, Cleveland has more talent. So it comes down to Deshaun Watson. So I guess I'm sitting here and you're asking me, who do I trust more in this situation? Deshaun Watson or Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, whoever's going to play for them for the majority of the year. Honestly, I think it's down the middle. It's very close. I'm going to choose the overall talent of Cleveland over Pittsburgh, but it could go either way. What are your thoughts on Roquan Smith versus Peyton Henderson? It's just going to be another thing that's going to add fuel to the fire. And the next time they see each other, we'll see how that goes. That's all I'm going to say. The next time they see each other, it might be some hand throwing. Harb's being too conservative with the players because Henry wasn't the only one not being there. Wiggins and yeah, Harbaugh doesn't control any in terms of what happens offensively and defensively. He doesn't call the play, so he doesn't really control much there. He just lets the coordinator do what he does. So that's not a Harb situation. That's more of Todd Monken. That's Todd Monken not utilizing Henry, and then you would look at Wiggins not being in there and Simpson not being in there. That's a Zachary Orr thing. Harbaugh doesn't do anything when it comes to the offense or defense. He just manages the game. So I know it's interesting to sit back and say Harbaugh's being too conservative, but the fact that he refuses to get involved with his offense and defensive coordinator, I can't blame it on him. I'm not going to hold it on a guy that's just not involved in that. So you got to look at Todd Monken, you got to look at Zachary Orr. It'd be nice if Harbaugh would get involved and actually say something with that, but it doesn't seem like he's doing anything with that. Do you predict more than 10 wins for the Ravens? Yeah. I predict more than 10 wins. Broncos won 8-9. They're not doing better than that. They can finish 9-8. They can absolutely finish 9-8. That's technically better than 8-9. I didn't say they'd make the playoffs. I said they'd finish with a better record than last year. 9-8 could still very likely happen for them if Bo Nix has a great season. When is it time to start talking about Harbaugh's philosophies getting stale? We've been saying that for years, man. So the time to start was 3 years ago. Seems like we need to start moving in a different direction here soon. We've been saying that for 3 years now. Actually, we've been saying that for more than 3 years, but it is what it is. Especially if they can't get a chip this year. We've been saying that for years now, and it is what it is. The update for injury for Kyle Van Noy. Just curious. There hasn't been much of an injury update. I've been looking around. There hasn't been much for an injury update. I think they didn't say how much time he's gonna miss, but it was like an orbital thing, I believe. I think it was an orbital injury. Let me see. I remember seeing it earlier in regards to that. I think saw it sometime yesterday, but I don't remember what's the specific. Oh, okay. Okay, guys. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Come on, man. Acting up for no reason. I'm hopeful to hear more. We probably won't hear more about it until tomorrow. He suffered a fractural orbital bone. So he suffered a fractured orbital bone. I don't know how long he's gonna miss, but that's the injury. He suffered a fractured orbital bone. I remember seeing that yesterday. So that's just the aspect of the injury for Kyle Van Noy. The thing I didn't like also is that it was obvious when the Ravens were gonna run it and pass it. Yeah, very predictably. Very predictable offensively. Whenever they stacked up, whenever they legitimately stack their linemen, whenever they took off the receivers, stacked the linemen, you brought in Patrick Ricard, everybody knew you were going to run the ball, so they just swarmed in. It was very predictable. And then when you pass, you spread it out, and the receivers are out there. So it was very predictable in terms of how things were going to look for the most part. They knew what they were doing. But sometimes the Ravens will know that teams know what they're doing and just sit back and say, all right, we'll just try to beat you because that's just how we try to do things. Chiefs, Bills, and Steelers own us. Rest of the teams we feast on. Bills is kind of an iffy thing. We've only played them 3 times. We won the first time. The second time they beat us in the playoffs, and the third time we choked a 17-point lead. So it's kind of hard to say that the Bills own us when we've only played them 3 times. Steelers, yes. Chiefs, yes, based on the matchups. With or without Lamar, the Steelers have found ways to beat us. And with the Chiefs, it don't matter who. Lamar's been there for all of them, so we still lost those games. So it is what it is. Games like this, I'm not mad about. It's those random losses like the Colts last year and the Giants and the Jags a few years ago that pissed me off. We'll probably have at least 2 of those type of losses this year. We have to go up against Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Max Crosby with this horrible O-line. Yeah, I said it before the season starts. This offensive line was going to be tested. Week 1 was Chris Jones. Week 2 is Max Crosby. Week 3 we got Dallas, right? Week 3 we got Dallas. Yeah, week 3 we got Dallas, so that's going to be Micah Parsons. That's another one you got to throw in. Then week 4 we have Buffalo, so I mean it'll be Von Miller for the most part. And then week 5 you've got the Bills, the Bengals. So like legitimately we're going to get tested early on. They can make the playoffs if this O-line can get it together by midseason. With or without this O-line getting it together, Lamar is not going to let this team miss the playoffs. I'm going to be honest. With or without this O-line, this team is not going to miss the playoffs under Lamar's watch. The thing about it is they're not going to be able to win a championship if Lamar's running for his life. So the O-line needs to get it together because Lamar's not going to have time to throw the ball down the field if you're not able to get it done. I blame the quarterback in any loss. You're free to do that. If that's how you assess it, if you sit back and say after every loss it's the quarterback's fault and after every win it's a quarterback's loss, that's just how you like to assess it. It's a team's game. It's a team game. Everybody has to play. When the Bills lost to the Chiefs in 2021 because the defense couldn't hold for 13 seconds and Josh Allen didn't even touch the field, I did not blame him for that. It's a team game. But if you want to blame Josh Allen for that loss, by all means. If you blame the quarterback in the loss and blame the quarterback in the win, by all means. If you look at one player at the end of the game and you say he's the reason and just ignore everything else, if that's how you choose to assess the day, man, do you. But it's a team game. Everybody has to play. I would prefer to specifically talk about each and every aspect of the team and talk about who did their job, who didn't do their job, who did well, who did not, who deserves to be blamed for this, who deserves to not be blamed for this. I don't put it on one person. I've never put it on one person. But if you choose to assess it by just blaming the quarterback in the loss and blaming the quarterback in the win, by all means, that's fine because that means you're consistent. If you just want to blame the quarterback, feel free to. I don't work that way. I'll blame whoever deserves to be blamed. I'll assess the whole team as a whole and specifically go down it and say this person didn't do their job, that person didn't do their job, this person could have been better, that person could have been better. This is how I do things. But if you're going to be consistent with it, you blame the quarterback in the loss and blame the quarterback in the win, that's perfectly fine, as long as you're consistent. If our game plan running the ball versus the Raiders, then we're losing that game. Who knows what the game plan is going to be? We'll see. Is it time to abort the Bateman experiment? Dude, after that catch he made, I don't know if you can say that right now. All the Bateman fans sat back. I'm not gonna lie. Until Bateman made that catch, you would have had a point. But that catch he made, nah. All the Bateman fans are very high right now. All the Bateman fans are very high right now. You cannot convince anybody that you should not at least give him a chance. That catch he made in clutch time, nah. It's tough to sit back and have people say that. Likely is the man to throw to in crunch time, I think. Hey, we'll see. We'll see how that continues to develop. But, you know, he made the plays in this game. We'll see. Dropping balls, boneheaded penalties, and Lamar's interceptions under pressure will continue. They fear KC. Lamar didn't throw any picks in this game. You mean turnovers? Lamar didn't throw an interception in this game. So, yeah. And the idea that they fear KC, I'm sorry, I don't believe any team fears any other team. I'm sorry. These guys are grown men playing a children's game. What is this, Yu-Gi-Oh now? We're in fear? Am I supposed to assume that these guys are just stepping on the field and all of a sudden it's a shadow game? Are we playing Yami games right now? Like, what is there to fear? What do they lose if they don't manage to win the game? They just go home and move on. This idea that these guys step on the field and they're in fear of Kansas City, I don't buy that. I absolutely don't buy that. Because again, a lot of the times the Ravens lose. That I could make that same argument. Do they fear the Steelers? Because they constantly make the same mistakes here. Do they fear the Steelers? The same team they've been playing the entire time? They're rivals. Do they fear the Steelers? Because the same nonsense they pull against the Chiefs, the same nonsense they do there. I don't buy into this idea that these teams are out there actively fearing against other teams. They fear this team. Get out of here with that nonsense. We're playing a children's game. These are millionaires playing a children's game. Guys are going to go home and sleep perfectly fine if they don't win the game. Okay? It'll suck if you lose when you're a competitor and you always appreciate the challenge, and if you don't live up to the expectation, it sucks because you felt you could have been better. But these guys aren't walking into Kansas City thinking, man, we're really scared of these guys. They really make us shake in our boots. Dude, it's a game. It's a game. There's no real fear in this aspect. I don't know what they're trying to do, but the play calling was trash. Yeah, the play calling wasn't fantastic here. Dan Henry can't get going if the O-line doesn't improve. Absolutely. The running back can't do anything if there's no holes that are being created by the offensive line. Everyone bashing Mark Andrews, but don't realize he was a magnet to at least two defenders most times. Yeah, they were putting guys on him. You could tell Andrews wasn't fully there. He's still working his way back. But they were putting guys on him and emphasizing, which left Isaiah Likely open a lot in this game. You really think John doesn't have a say in what plays? No, I'm not saying he doesn't have a say. I'm saying he chooses to not have a say. He can say whatever he wants. But John Harbaugh has been on the record saying he doesn't get involved with the offense. He doesn't get involved with the defense. He does not get involved with the coordinators and let them do whatever they want to do. I'm not saying he doesn't have a say. I'm saying he's willingly choosing to not have a say. If he wanted to say something, he can. But this guy has verbally said, I trust my coordinators to make the decisions. I don't get involved in the play calling. He has said this verbally. So I'm not saying Harbaugh doesn't have a say in what play. I'm saying he willingly chooses to not get involved. If he wanted to, he can. He willingly chooses to not get involved. There's times where he could literally just sit back and tell Todd Monken, we need to start running the ball here. But he chooses to trust in Todd Monken and let Monken call the game because he trusts his coordinators. His words, not mine. They just need to make plays with Henry outside. They'll look to try to get him involved. What do you think about the potential of the pass rush? I liked what I saw from David Ojabo on that one play. We hope to see more of Matabike, and we hope to see something from the Adafeowe, but it was week one, and trying to sack Mahomes is damn near impossible. So good luck with that. But again, we'll see how this pass rush develops. I have to see more games with them. I can't just make that assumption based off of one game because it's already difficult to try to get Mahomes down. I was Roquan and Harrison on Rashid Rice. Like, what was these guys thinking? The game plan is simple. Roquan on Pacheco, Kyle on Kelsey, Marlon on Rice, Wiggins on Worthy, and Marcus just being there. You go tell that to Zachary Orr. I don't control who's on who in terms of the matchup. Harbaugh is the second oldest coach, and coaches like it. Why isn't our playbook as diverse as the Eagles? Look, yesterday with 2 running backs on the field. Again, go look at Todd Monken and go talk to Harbaugh about that. I can't tell you what Philly's doing over there with Saquon Barkley. I don't control the play calling or the playbook. You would have to go look at Todd Monken and ask what he's doing. Look at the stats in the film. Lamar is by far the best quarterback in the league when he isn't pressured. I mean, that's cool and all, but nobody cares when you're not winning in the championship, so it is what it is. The play that pissed me off the most was the Marlon Humphrey getting burnt again, and once again says, I thought I had safety up. How many times is that going to happen? Too often when Humphrey, in my opinion. How many times is it going to constantly have miscommunication in this situation? You got to ask them there, because that was a situation where it's miscommunication. My question is, why does this consistently happen? And the funny part is, it's always happening on Humphrey. So he always ends up having to take the blame for things that aren't entirely his fault. But at the same time, it's like, buddy, it's happening on you. At some point, they're going to just keep pointing the fingers at you. But it's more of a miscommunication point, and that's something they have to fix. Yeah, Fish Falele was flopping out there and was getting fried. Yeah, a paper wall could have done a better job in stopping Chris Jones than Falele that game. Immediately after the game, Falele should have been cut. That wasn't going to happen. Quarterback got to be blamed for the losses because he's making all the money. Dude, I'm not blaming the quarterback only. And I'm not saying you can't put blame on the quarterback. You absolutely can. The quarterback has to take a majority of the blame. I've never sat back and said the quarterback shouldn't get blamed. I've been on record saying the quarterback takes a majority of the blame. But this is still a team game. I'm not going to put all the blame on the quarterback. You want to put a majority of the blame? That's cool. But you have to recognize this is a team game and everybody has to be held accountable. Because Lamar, not even Lamar, just the quarterback is not getting, he's not the only one that's getting paid. Yeah, he's making a majority of the money on the team. But other guys are getting paid. They're getting paid to do their jobs. We pay these offensive linemen to block. You pay your receivers to catch the ball. We're paying our defensive backs to cover these receivers. We're paying our pass rush to get to the quarterback. Everybody is a grown man here getting paid to do a job. So for me to not hold them accountable for not doing said job and just hold one guy accountable because he's getting paid the most money, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold him accountable and give him a majority of the blame because you are the leader of the team and you are the one that ultimately determines how this offense is going to run. So I will give you a majority of the blame. But that does not mean everybody else that has a job to do, that's getting paid to do it, is not going to be held accountable for their actions. I'm never going to just sit back and blame the quarterback for everything and ignore what everybody else is doing. I'll put a majority blame on the quarterback because he's the quarterback. It's your job to make sure we score. You're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team. A majority of blame automatically goes to you, just like a majority of the praise automatically goes to you. But that does not mean everyone else does not deserve blame for losses, and that does not mean everyone else does not deserve praise for wins. I'd never work like that. I've never operated like that. I'm always going to give everybody credit. It's a team game. I'm going to give everybody their credit, and I'm going to give everybody their blame when they mess up. That's just how it is. It's just the quarterback's going to get a majority of it. But I'm not going to sit back and only blame the quarterback and ignore everything else that happened in the game and act like the quarterback's the only one that's at fault. No, not doing that. I don't care how much money's getting paid. It was the punter's fault the Ravens lost the game. I don't know about that, bro. That's tough to convince anybody of that. The two coaches that consistently outcoach Harbaugh are Reid and Tomlin. Yep, every year. Well, not every year in terms of Reid, but every year in terms of Tomlin. We lost once again because we went away from the run. Same as the AFC Championship game. It's on the head coach and offensive coordinator. They couldn't get a run game going with the damn. And again, I would love to sit back and say we went away from the run, but did you see that offensive line? Derrick Henry couldn't get any push with that. At some point, the fans would have been frustrated and said, stop running the ball because these guys can't block. I'm a little worried about Tucker. He's been missing more than ever. There's always going to be some concerns when you see a guy like Tucker miss. Hopefully it's not a consistent thing, but yeah, when he starts missing, we definitely get concerned. I definitely believe Harbaugh has to go. He won't, but, it is what it is. I will spit facts right now. Lamar is the reason Harbaugh still has that job right now. All of us know that. He would have been fired in 2018 if it wasn't for Lamar. And the fun fact about it is, I still think he would have been fired if they missed the playoffs. Even though Lamar came in and did what he did, if they missed the playoffs in 2018, I think Harbaugh would have been fired regardless. That man gets out coached every time, and he has that dumb look on his face. But that dumb look on his face is a personal thing for you. But yeah, he's consistently getting out coached. Do you think the Ravens should try to pay for some better offensive linemen? That's probably going to be the plan. DeCosta's trying to build some cap space to try to go get somebody at some point. So yeah, they're probably going to look for somebody because Falele can't get the job done, and I don't think they have any faith and belief in Ben Cleveland. McDonald should be the head coach right now. I said that last year, but it is what it is. Nate Wiggins should have been unworthy the entire game. Yeah, I felt that should have been the case. That's why we drafted him. Having Marlon Humphrey on him, that man gets toasted one-on-one and never learns. Humphrey needs to be in the slot, not outside, but again, I don't make the calls. Probably someone who couldn't show Kansas City down enough to score, to slow down Kansas City enough to score 27 points. Harbaugh is a very overrated coach. He has been at least since 2015. You can make the arguments. KC lost week 1 last year and then won the Super Bowl. It's just week 1. I like the underdog mentality and the hunger it puts on our boys. I mean, it's great to always, feed off of the underdog mentality, and it's always great to have that hunger to get it done. But at some point, Jeff, you have to get it done. You can't just keep leaning on the underdog mentality and the hunger, and then it doesn't pay off. Like, at some point, it has to pay off. And the good news is they're going to have the opportunity to try to make it pay off, but at some point, it has to pay off. In the past, it has yet to pay off. At some point, it has to pay off. Otherwise, it's just meaningless. The underdog mentality doesn't do anything for you unless you win. If you're the underdog and you lose, you just met everyone else's expectations. So at some point, that mentality has to pay off. And so far, it hasn't. So we'll see. Marcus Williams, one of the worst free agent signings the Ravens had ever made. I don't think you can make that assessment based off of last game. Hell, he saved a touchdown when he was on Juju, so he saved that from being a touchdown. Marcus Williams actually wasn't even a problem in this game. I don't think any of the safeties were really a problem in this game. So I don't even know if that's the statement you want to fall on, but you've been saying that about a lot of players. I really would like to, you need to give me a list of the players you actually like, because every time you've got some sort of complaint about some player and say this person's terrible, that person's terrible, trade this person, trade that person, this person needs to be gone. Who on this team do you actually like? I would love to see a list of guys you actually like, because I doubt that's a long list, but I actually would like to see, because you're here every week about somebody that needs to be traded or somebody you don't like. Who do you like on this team? And no, you don't get to choose Lamar. You don't get to choose Lamar. These miscommunication with Humphrey happens way too often. Sometimes even on plays back-to-back. He's starting to become a defensive liability, in my opinion. Well, that's something you're just going to have to deal with. You keep having miscommunications, it's going to fall on him because he's the one that's constantly getting beat. Yeah, at this point, Trey Tucker, too. He's been missing kicks lately. Trey Tucker. Y'all could win a Super Bowl, but Lamar will have to take over with his legs, too. Yeah, I just don't know if you're going to be able to get it done with the way this team likes to constantly hurt themselves. Because even when Lamar utilizes his legs, you can get a situation like a phantom holding call that takes it away. Gets a 30-yard run. Boom, taken away. You have these type of things, man. So, who knows? I don't think Russell Wilson shouldn't play tomorrow. Justin, man, but the Steelers is a... I mean, Russell Wilson's not going to play. I don't even think he... I think there was a report that he didn't travel with the team, but who knows? Maybe he did. I think the expectation is Justin Fields is going to play, but I don't know. We'll see. We lost forever to Peyton Manning and the Colts. Then in Ray Lewis's last home game, we wiped them on our way to the Super Bowl. Yeah, but Peyton Manning wasn't the quarterback when we played the Colts that year. That was Andrew Luck, and that was his rookie season. I don't think you should have done the Peyton Manning one. We lost forever to Peyton Manning and the Colts. Yeah, Peyton Manning wasn't the quarterback to the Colts. Now, if you want to say we beat both, are you trying to say we beat both? Okay, I get you. Never mind. I think I get what you're saying, Jeff. Peyton Manning was a problem. The Colts were a problem. We beat both Peyton Manning and the Colts on our way to the Super Bowl. I think I got what you were saying. I thought you were talking about both. I got you, Jeff. But I don't really know if we could really put the Colts in this situation because a big part of why we were losing to the Colts was Peyton Manning. And we took on a Colts team with Andrew Luck, who was in his rookie year. But I will say that the Peyton Manning game with the Broncos, that one holds up. But I don't know about the Colts one. I mean, it's a rookie quarterback. It's tough for me to sit back and say the rookie quarterback in that situation was supposed to get it done. Even though Andrew Luck was having a great rookie season. I don't know about the Colts one, but I will absolutely agree with the Peyton Manning take. Players I like Kyle Hamilton, Isaiah Likely, Roquan Smith, Justin Tucker, Tyler Linderbaum, Justin Matabike. I said you couldn't do Lamar. That's all the guys you like. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me see. Hamilton, Likely, Roquan, Tucker, Linderbaum, Matabike. So 7 guys. If we take off Lamar, 6 guys. So you want everyone else traded, huh? Because you come here every day and have somebody get traded. Well, I'm sorry, bro. So there's 53 spots here, and guys have to play. So you keep trade, or trying to trade these guys. Trade for another guy that doesn't live up to your expectations, and then what happens? You want to trade that guy too? The NFL is not Madden, bro. What's going on, Raven C? Appreciate you stopping by, man. Appreciate you. That game was nasty. It was fun. As a football game, that Ravens-Chiefs game was fun. As a Ravens fan, that was heartbreaking. But you move on. It is what it is. It's week 1. You move on to week 2. I think we should get a younger coach. They're more willing to change. You had a younger coach. His name was Mike McDonald. You could have given him the job. But they didn't want to move. Bro, you say trade a lot of guys. I'm pretty sure you said trade Marlon Humphrey. You said trade a lot of guys. And you keep saying trade for these other guys. They'll trade for those other guys, and when those guys don't work, you'll ask to trade for even more. You'll ask trade Marcus Williams, and then all of a sudden the safety position is not as strong, and Kyle Hamilton starts struggling because he's the only one that can do something in the safety position. And now you're like, man, Kyle Hamilton, man, he's starting to show some weaknesses. He's not playing as well. We need to trade for a safety to help him. You just had one. I'm not tripping on it because it's only week 1. I would trade Mark Andrews for a wide receiver or O-line. I get the aspect. My thing is, when people saying, I can't trade him for an offensive lineman. I can't. With the way we have complained about the lack of weapons for Lamar Jackson, the fact that everyone's so willing to try to trade away a weapon is problematic to me. Everyone keeps saying trade Mark Andrews for an offensive lineman. I don't agree with that. You want to take away another weapon for this offense? Now, I agree. If you want to trade one of your offensive weapons for another offensive weapon, I don't have a problem with that. So the possibility of trading Mark Andrews to get a wide receiver, I'm fine with that. But taking away weapons from this offense when we spent years complaining about the lack of weapons on this offense, I just don't agree with that. And I agree, Raven C, we have to protect Lamar. But I don't want him to lose weapons in order for us to give him a little bit more protection. I'd rather at that point go try to trade a defensive player to try to go get an offensive lineman. But taking away weapons from this offense when we have spent years talking about the lack of weapons Lamar has to throw to. If you're going to trade for an offensive lineman, go take one of these several aspects of defensive players. You got talent all over the defense. You got talent all over the defense. Trade one of them and go get an offensive lineman. I'd rather do that. I'd rather do that personally. And if you're going to trade Mark Andrews, which again, I'm not willing to trade him, I would want to see these two tight end sets. I think that's what best works for us. You need to utilize your players more. You have two tight ends that can definitely put attention. They can put pressure on the defense and make it easier for Lamar. Not to mention, if one of them's getting covered, the other's going to be open. So if Mark Andrews is getting covered, likely he's going to be open. If likely gets covered, Andrews going to get open. I think you got to utilize your talent better, which comes down to Todd Monken utilizing these talents better. So I don't feel you should trade them. Utilize this talent better. You can make an unstoppable offense if you're utilizing a lot of these two tight end sets a lot more, because both of them are not going to be covered. And even if you find a way to cover those two, Zay Flowers will find a way to be open. Utilize your weapons. That's just me personally. So I wouldn't want to trade Andrews, but if you were to trade him, it has to be for a wide receiver. Trade a weapon for another weapon. I'm not trading a weapon for an offensive lineman. I will not trade an offensive weapon for an offensive lineman. Take one of those many defensive players that you love building on this freaking defense. Take one of those defensive players, trade them, and go get an offensive lineman. If you're trading away Andrews, it better be for a wide receiver. That's just me. Trade a weapon for another weapon. Go take one of those defensive players and get us an offensive lineman. That's just how I feel about it. Because I'm not trying to take away weapons from Lamar's offense. I do not want to do that. That's just me. Alright, bro, do you think our coaches are good at developing players in the past 5 years? They're good at developing defensive players, not offensive players. They can't develop a receiver to save their lives. They've lucked into the tight end position. The offensive line, they've usually signed veterans at there, so they really haven't had an opportunity to develop young guys at the offensive line position. But I think they're only good at developing defensive players, not offensive players. You think Isaiah likely could beat out Mark Andrews for tight end 1 this year? Nah, he's going to have a chance. I think he has an absolute chance because he has the talent. He has the talent and athleticism. He has certain skill sets that you don't see from Andrews. So he absolutely has a case. But it's week 1. Let's monitor it. Because if Mark Andrews comes out here week 2 against the Raiders, kills it, and has 2 receiving touchdowns, what's the conversation now? With that fat contract, I can't wait to see what Deshaun Watson does tomorrow. I purchased NFL Red Zone. Oh yeah, the Browns got the Cowboys tomorrow, so we'll see how that's gonna work. Should be interesting. Why did the NFL allow Xavier Worthy to fall to the Chiefs? They didn't allow anything. Go ask the Bills why they traded down and let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy. That's the Bills' fault, not the league's fault. There's absolutely no loyalty, logic, or reason in trading Mark Andrews. Again, they're not going to. The Ravens have no interest in trading him. These are just hypotheticals. All right, y'all tripping now on trading Mark Andrews. He's not going to be traded, and I personally do not feel he needs to be traded. But, it's just hypotheticals. Fans are always going to speak it up. Those 2 tight end sets with Derrick Henry makes that very dangerous. And there's clips that he was getting tripled and double teamed all game. Yeah, of course, it's Mark Andrews. Like I said, you utilize 12 personnel. You have 2 tight end sets out there. You put Likely on one side. You put Andrews on one side. You use Zay Flowers as the receiver. You have Derrick Henry in the backfield. And you use the play action game, dangerous. But it's up to Todd Monken to utilize that. And that's what's frustrating. Instead of doing a lot of that, we're getting wide receiver screens. Instead of putting Andrews Likely out there alongside Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry in the backfield, have Lamar do these handoffs, instead of getting that, we're seeing wide receiver screens. So, you have talent, you're just not utilizing it the right way. Yeah, we need the Andrews Likely combo. Again, let's see how it develops. If we're sitting here halfway through the season and nothing's happening with that combo, then yeah, there'll be some conversations to be had that's like, I don't know, man, you might have to get rid of one or the other. But it is what it is. Can we stop with the Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews debate? Isaiah Likely is 10 times better. He's more talented, so I'll give you that. He has better hands, better up. Yeah, he's more talented. He's more talented. And he does not have better chemistry with Lamar Jackson. Based on what Andrews has done in his career, he does not have better chemistry with Lamar Jackson. Lamar will actively choose to force feed Andrews the ball just because he has that much chemistry and trust in him. So no, he does not have better chemistry with Lamar Jackson. At least not yet. Can it happen? Can it develop? Sure. And is Isaiah Likely a more talented player than Mark Andrews? Absolutely. He has skill sets and talents, and he has that Mark Andrews doesn't have, and he's much more athletic. But again, Andrews still has a number. He still has the numbers. He still has the prestige. We have to see how it goes throughout the season. Because like I said, if we come out here week 2, Isaiah likely doesn't have anything on his stat sheet, and Mark Andrews has 2 receiving touchdowns, what does the conversation become? At the end of the day, I don't care who's number 1 or number 2. Utilize your weapons. We need to utilize both. I don't care who's tight end 1. You've got 2 weapons. Utilize them. People trying to fight. Likely's better. Andrews better. Who the hell cares who's better? Both of them are on this team. Yes, let's utilize these weapons and make these defenses feel the danger of having to deal with both these guys. I don't care who you put wide receiver 1. Who cares? Fantasy owners? Deal with that. I want to see both these guys on the field together, putting the pressure on the defense because it's going to make Lamar Jackson's job easier. I don't care who takes the tight end 1 spot. Give it to whoever. But I want to see both these guys on the field together doing what they need to do to make sure Lamar has a target to throw to. No way they're trading any tight end or receiver. They're not going to trade Andrews, so we don't even need to worry about that. All right. We need to press Mr. Biscotti at this point. He got to step up. I don't see him firing Harbs at this point. And you saying he's tired of Harbs. If he was tired of Harbs, he would have fired him. Nobody's going to stop him from doing that. If he was tired of Harbs, he could have fired him and gave Mike McDonald the job. He didn't do that. Yeah, Likely's better, so let's trade Likely. How about we keep both? Yeah, people saying trade Likely, and then all of a sudden, when Likely's getting double teamed and triple teamed, and nobody else is there to really help out, or better yet, he gets double teamed and triple teamed, and Kolar's not doing much. Now all of a sudden you're like, man, we should have kept Marlon Humphrey. Y'all fans are so freaking fickle. You'll say these things, then when it doesn't work out, we should have kept him. Well, you said trade him in the first place. Derrick Henry needs to be gone. He should be bulldozing over guys. He wasn't doing that versus the Chiefs. How is he supposed to bulldoze over guys when he's getting the ball in the shotgun, and as soon as he touches the ball, 2 defenders are over him? What do you think this is? The offensive line is not giving him any push. They're not blocking. As soon as he touches the ball, he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. What running back is doing anything in that situation? So yeah, everybody needs to be gone, Charles. Everybody, but let's just have 7 players. The 7 players you like, keep those 7 players. Everybody else needs to be gone. It's not like we have a whole 53-man roster that you need to have here. Instead of sitting back and saying the offensive line needs to do their job, it's Derrick Henry needs to go. All right, bro, cool. Everybody needs to go at this point. It's week 1 and you guys are still the same. Y'all don't change as football fans. Grow! Grow, people! Grow as fans! Don't be the same thing you've been last year. Every year try to grow as a fan. If it makes you feel any better, at least your quarterback's not the quarterback about to be the first quarterback to lose to all 31 teams tomorrow. If you lose Derek Carr. I mean, that's the Saints' problem, not mine. Get rid of a defensive player for an O-lineman. No way you get rid of that weak offense. It is what it is, man. The Likely Andrews combo is the best thing our offense has going outside of Lamar. Maybe tied with King Henry. Again, you use 12 personnel. You have 2 tight ends here with Likely on one side, Andrews on the other side. Your one receiver can be Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry in the backfield with Lamar under center. That is the formula to win. That is the clear formula to win, and we're not doing it. Instead, wide receiver screen, wide receiver screen, wide receiver screen. But it's not my job to do that. So let's see how Todd Monken does. Andrews' time as a star is gone, homie. We'll see. I can't say that after one game, bro. I would love to say, Raven C, that after one game, Andrews' time is gone. But I have to see. Because, again, if Mark Andrews balls out in week 2, now all of a sudden, we're not having these type of conversations. So I would love to say it, but I have to see it. I can't make that assessment based off of one game. Come back to me week 10, let's see where Andrews is, and then we can have that discussion. But I can't have that discussion in week 1. I can't have that discussion in week 1. Especially if he ends up going off in a couple of these games. I don't like to make an assumption based off of one game. Let me see a periodic stray of games to be able to analyze the data. By week 10, we'll have a legit conversation. We'll look at it. By week 10, we'll look at Likely stats, we'll look at Andrew's stats, we'll actually look at his performance compared to previous years, and we'll make our assessment. Because I think by week 10, it's fair to say that. But I can't make that assessment after one game. That's just hard for me. Is Saquon Barkley better than Derrick Henry? I mean, arguably you can make the argument. Isn't this the last year of Harbaugh's contract, or am I wrong? I'm pretty sure he had an extension. Likely is only as good as he is because Andrews eating up the double coverage. Arguments can be made about that. I hope that's not the reason. I mean, I can't really say that because, again, when Andrews went down, Likely was still doing what he was doing. So, I don't think he's as good as he is because Andrews is eating up the double coverage. But it does have to be emphasized that Andrews is getting double covered and sometimes triple covered in some of these plays. I think the Ravens stupid for not playing the rookies like they had Wiggins on special teams. Why do you think that? The Ravens always want to do things their way. It's always unorthodox. It never makes sense. It's always frustrating. It's the same thing with them every single year. You never know what you're going to get from them, and you're just like, at some point, just do something orthodox. Stop trying to do things special. You drafted him to be a corner to try to... we all assumed you drafted him because you saw Mahomes and the Chiefs get Worthy. How about you line them up? Worthy versus Wiggins. Let's see that matchup. No, let's have them on special teams. That is what it is. It's the same thing with them every year. They always want to do things their way, and it is what it is. We'll see if it gets them a chip. Likely we'll have 2 touchdowns. Mark will have 3 catches for 30 yards. If that's the case, that's the case. But I got to see it, man. Come back week 10 and we'll have that conversation. But I can't make that assessment based off of one game. Yeah, Mark Andrews ain't even top 10 tight end at this point. Yeah, based off of week 1, I mean, I guess. But he was certainly a top 10 tight end before he got injured. And he had missed, and the time between he missed all the way to the AFC title game was other guys doing his thing. So at this point, I guess based off his week 1 performance, he's not a top 10 tight end, but we'll have to see. This is the last year of Harbaugh's contract. If the Ravens make the play, it really is the last. Did they not give him an extension? I could have scored. Or was that 2 years ago and they only gave him a 2 year? Let me see. I actually want to check this. Let me look at his contract. Before the 2022 season, the final year of his 4-year contract extension, Harbaugh signed another extension, keeping him in Baltimore through 25. NFL coach salaries are so he's gonna be here all the way through 2025. So I don't know if this is he signed a 3-year contract extension. So this wouldn't be his last season. Next season would, because he signed through the 2025 season. So Harbaugh's time in Baltimore wouldn't end until next season, not this season. But we'll have to see. For the most part. How you feel about Monken? I didn't like his play calling in week 1. He needs to be better. And he needs to stop calling those wide receiver screens. It's not working. It's not working. He needs to be more creative in the pass game. He needs to stop settling for these wide receiver screens and just utilize the talent he has on this team. If he does that, we'd be a lot better. Yeah, they won't play Nate Wiggins, but they'll keep Marlon Humphrey on the field where he constantly gets beat like a drum. Marlon Humphrey's perfectly fine on the field, but they need to stop playing him outside. Why don't you play Marlon Humphrey in the slot? Marlon Humphrey is a beast in the slot. You drafted Wiggins, who's an outside corner. Put Wiggins on the outside, put Marlon Humphrey in the slot, keep Brandon Stevens on the outside. You solve this problem. But for some reason, they want to keep doing things their own way. Marlon Humphrey seems the top corner, so let's put him on it. Dude, let's stop alternating. Marlon Humphrey works best in the slot. He is at his best as a slot corner. Keep him in the slot, put Wiggins outside, keep Brandon Stevens outside. That's what you've got to do. But no, they keep trying to play him outside, and he keeps getting beat outside. Whatever. I mean, I'm not the defensive coordinator. Go ask Zachary Orr that question. Trade Marlon Humphrey to the Packers for Jair Alexander. Yeah, because I'm sure the Packers would absolutely like that. It's not like he didn't ball out against the Eagles when he picked off Jalen Hurts. I'm sure they're looking to get Marlon Humphrey for Jair Alexander. Henry needs to get 20-plus carries to get going. Monken doesn't understand that stretch offense. They're not... One, the offensive line needs to do a better job to give him that. Two, I didn't like the play calling. Monken has to do a better job of getting Derrick Henry involved. You've got a beast of a weapon on the sideline at the end of the game. That just doesn't make sense. Salute everyone. I hope this team finally learns their lesson. Kevin, we've been hoping this team learns their lesson for years now. As long as Harbaugh's here, I don't think any lessons are going to be learned. There's no way we got Derrick Henry and don't have no identity, bro. We had all offseason to figure things out. like they was calling out our plays. It's the same thing with the Ravens, bro. Y'all keep expecting the Ravens to be different. They keep showing you who they are, and you keep expecting change. Okay? The only way change was going to happen is if Mike McDonald's the head coach, but he wasn't. You should have made Mike McDonald the head coach. You could have. You should have made Mike McDonald the head coach. That would have been a perfect time to move on with John Harbaugh. Mike McDonald was ready. Hand him the keys. Harbaugh, if you want, go make him an executive or something. Go let him go do something in the front office or make him some sort of executive up top. I don't know. But at Harbaugh's time to hand the keys off to Mike McDonald was right there. And they said no. So McDonald went to Seattle. And now Seattle's probably going to make the playoffs because of Mike McDonald. And he's going to change life for them. When he could have changed life for us. All right. Patrick Ricard is needed even more now since that O-line is garbage. Probably. It probably won't happen. I doubt it. But I could see our division going 0-1. Anything is possible, though. I mean, let's see. Browns going up against the Cowboys. Let's see about that. Aren't the Steelers taking on the Falcons? I don't think they're losing that game. And who are the Bengals taking on? I'm sorry, I don't see that. Maybe the Browns losing to the Cowboys because I think they're going to play in Dallas. And Dallas doesn't really lose. Let me look at the games tomorrow. Let's see. Let me see. Yeah. Browns are going up against... The Steelers are going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Bengals are facing off against the Patriots. That's an easy dub for the Bengals. Bengals going to start 1-0. Steelers, we'll see against the Falcons. That could go either way. And Browns, they've got a tough battle. Legit tough battle against that Dallas team. But I could see a situation where all the other three teams in the AFC North win. And we start off 0-1. And I can see a situation where two of them lose. But there's no way Cincinnati's losing to New England. There's no way Cincinnati's losing to New England. No way in hell. No way in hell. No way in hell. We have a bad season this year. I believe a lot of guys will be gone this offseason. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Monken offense, bubble screen left, bubble screen right, veer option, and jet sweep. Gonna have to be more creative than that. Week 1 and already people saying players need to go. Bro, we've been doing it every year. That's just how it is. Wait for at least mid-season to start critiquing players. Let's have a bet. If Andrew sucks in week 2, you watch a Celtics game without them. No. I'm not making that bet. I'm not making that bet. You're not getting me to watch a Celtics game. No. You're not getting me to watch a Celtics game. You are not going to get me to sit here and deal with a Celtics game. I'm not doing it. Because I will spend the entire 3 hours being petty. I will take shots at Tatum for his fan base being soft because he wasn't getting playing time in the Olympics. I'm going to call out Jaylen Brown and say he's on the perks because he's out here training in pools. He's doing underwater exercises. Who is he training for? What is Jaylen Brown training for that he's doing underwater exercises? What type of training is that? He's trying to dunk a basketball under the pool. Bro, who is he training for? I'm going to take petty shots at Derek White. I'm going to take petty shots at everybody. I'm going to take petty shots at Sam Hauser. I'm going to take shots. I'm going to take shots at Mazzulla, and I'm going to say he's a sociopath. I'm kidding on that one. I'll take shots after the Celtics, bro. I will be sitting there taking shot after shot after shot. I could consider that, but I'd have to pick the game. It'd probably be against the Nuggets. I would probably have to be like Denver. Just a team that I feel would absolutely beat the Celtics that night. Because I'm surely not going to pick the Sixers. No, not going to pick the Sixers. That's a whipping waiting to happen. Oh, we got Paul George. You're still the same. Ain't nothing going to change with the Sixers. You know what, Raven C? Give me some time to think about it. We got time. We played on Thursday, so we got time. Give me some time to think about it. I might take that bet. Because I'll just be petty the entire time. I will be petty the entire time. But I might take that bet, though. I can't lie, bro. We definitely wasted Lamar's career, bro. We really got a all-time great quarterback. That's great, but, there's nothing you can do about it. Thoughts on Malik Harrison playing middle linebacker? Work in progress. We should have never been in that situation. I think Trenton Simpson needs to be out there a lot more. And they do alternate with their guys. I don't know. He's always been a work in progress. Seems like he's still a work in progress. Another issue is that Trenton Simpson was the only starter that got reps in the preseason. The Ravens have been so scared to play their stars in the preseason due to the previous years of injuries in the offseason. It is what it is, man. Do you believe the Ravens have failed Lamar thus far? You can make arguments they have. Defensively, no. He's always had a defense that's been good enough to compete for a title. So from a defensive standpoint, no. From an offensive standpoint, yes. They haven't surrounded him with the proper talent and weapons, and they let Greg Roman stay 3 years too long. So you stuck him with an offensive coordinator for years that was actively holding him back. You never gave him the proper weapons to be able to truly compete with other guys. And you just lived off of, well, Lamar can help us. Let Lamar go be a hero. Lamar's got it. Even Lamar came out and said it this offseason, bro. The aspect of no, he didn't say this offseason. He said it like, what, last week when he was doing an interview or like 2 weeks ago? When someone was asking him about how he's, being more vocal and how he's getting on the case as the offensive lineman. He talked about the fact that they legitimately, it's just like, well, Lamar's got it, bro. Lamar's got it. He's like, no, I need you guys to get it so I can also get it as well. They've sat back and just let Lamar save them for far too long. So I think they've failed them on an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they've always had a team to compete. But from an offensive standpoint, absolutely. They wasted his rookie contract. They stuck him with Greg Roman for years when he should have been gone. They never gave him the proper weapons. He was never in a proper system that could fully develop and utilize his talents the proper way. Yeah, they failed him from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, no. Defensively, no. We desperately need O-line help. Andrews is great, but we need Cap. Also, look at the Lions training Hawkinson, and it's probably better with Laporta. Again, if you want to take that risk, and then all of a sudden when those double teams come to Isaiah Likely and he can't get the ball and nobody's there to respond, and then all of a sudden people want to be like, I miss Mark Andrews, you'll look back at this statement. When Andrews went down last year, the offense looked a lot better. Yeah, that's because Lamar wasn't trying to force feed the ball to Andrews. Andrews isn't the problem. Go tell Lamar to stop trying to force feed the ball to Mark Andrews. Well, at least now he knows he can trust Likely, so I hope that force feeding to Mark Andrews would stop, which we didn't see it in week 1. He didn't even try to force feed it. He saw Isaiah Likely and just kept going to him. So hopefully that means something. But Lamar force feeding the ball to Andrews is not an Andrews problem. That's a Lamar issue. And it makes sense why. Andrews was the only consistent weapon he had. So it made sense why he tried to get him the ball. But that was a Lamar thing. That was not an Andrews thing. Couldn't believe my eyes when I saw Malik Harrison miss that tackle against Pacheco like that. Bro, he just whiffed on that one. That was a pathetic miss. He's got to be better than that. Why do the Ravens refuse to get a true guard? Because it's the Ravens. If you don't draft him, you're not getting him. We let Zeitler go for no reason. They felt they just wanted to go young, and that clearly didn't work out in game 1, but we'll see how it works out throughout the season. Harbs has a personal vendetta against Ben Cleveland. Yeah, it's clear as day because he won't play him. Doesn't matter how poor Falele plays, he'll still be there for week 2. And then Max Crosby will get a hold of him, and then we'll see how that goes. 2 tight end sets is the way to go. Yep. The wide receiver screens have potential, but there's never any blockers. So why keep doing it when you know these guys aren't blocking? Cleveland is better than Falele at right guard for sure, but they won't play him, unfortunately. They won't play him. He must have something on Harbs. He's in the doghouse for some reason. Bro, Jair got cooked in that game. He got a lucky pick. That's it. I didn't see much from that game because I wasn't even watching that game. I saw the pick, but I didn't see much about that game. So who knows? Maybe he was getting cooked. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But still, they're not trading Jair Alexander for Marlon Humphrey. They're just not. I don't know why they thought moving a 6'8", 400-pound tackle into guard was a good idea. Because the Ravens always want to do things their way. Harbaugh, in my opinion, won't change because he's never held accountable. 17 years in the game, he's not changing. You're not changing a coach like that. He's not changing his philosophy. He's not changing his ways. 17 years in the game, nope, not changing. The Ravens feel like they can just make their O-line plug and play into any position so they can be cheap and not get guys that have played certain positions all their life. We'll just have to deal with it. There's nothing we can do about it. We're just fans. They're not going to change. Could you imagine if the Ravens would listen to the fans, whether that's coaches, coaching, trade, substitution schemes? We would be undefeated every season. I don't know about that because some of y'all will make some crazy aspects. You will trade certain players you don't need to trade. You'll make some substitutions you don't need to make. You'll make some coaching decisions you don't need to make. I don't think fans taking over in coaching is the best of things, but it would be nice to see some of the things we try to say apply. But I would doubt we'd be undefeated if the fans could just, if the fans had an opportunity to just take over. I doubt we'd be undefeated. Guys like Makari are cool and all, but you need true guards and tackles. Makari is a fantastic backup. He's passable as a starter and a fantastic backup. You want him as your backup. You don't want him as your starter. The only O-line I trust are Linderbaum and Stanley so far. Funny enough, when you take away the penalties, Ronnie Stanley actually did his job. Like, he didn't get beat. If you watch the game, Stanley did his job, Linderbaum did his job, and hell, Voorhees did his job. Did anybody talk about Andrew Voorhees? He didn't do anything wrong. Maybe there's a play or two. Maybe he had a penalty too, because I think every offensive lineman had a penalty. But Voorhees actually did his job. The entire left side of the offensive line, minus the penalties, because Stanley didn't get beat. I don't remember Voorhees getting beat, and Linderbaum was doing his thing. It's literally the right side of the offensive line right now. And if there's any cracks in your offensive line, the whole line collapses. There was no concerns. I didn't hear anybody mention Voorhees' name once. Voorhees actually did a solid job for week 1. But to be fair, Voorhees didn't have to see Chris Jones. So I feel like there's some leniency and there's some aspects in terms of assessment that we can make about that. Because he wasn't seeing Chris Jones. That was the right side. So that was Rosengarten, that was Makari, that was Falele that was dealing with Chris Jones. Voorhees was on the left side. Same thing with Stanley. So I don't know how they would have fared against him. But yeah, in terms of how they played, they did play well. It had to be because Ricard blamed coaching for the AFC Championship game loss. God forbid he questioned the authority. No, I'm pretty sure Ricard's still there. He was on the field in the game. He came in. I wouldn't give Harbs a job in the front office. He can barely draw up a simple play to win. Again, they don't like really firing people. So that's what I said. If you want to get him out that head coaching job, just go elevate him like the way the Texans did with Bill O'Brien. We only ran 2 read options against the Chiefs. They're not trying to run that offense anymore. It's clear as day they don't want to really utilize the read option the way they did in previous years. They're not interested in doing that anymore. Boston fans are the worst. If I speak. Same thing with New York fans, if I speak. I wonder if Ricard can play guard. Ricard can play. He's played as an offensive lineman. He's played as a fullback. He's played as a defensive tackle. He's played multiple positions. Jaylen Brown been that dude to sweep the Heat again. I mean, sure, if the Heat's not healthy. Easy to sweep the Heat when there's no Jimmy Butler or Terry Rozier. When you have to sit back and rely on Tyler Hero to be your savior, you're not going anywhere with that. But that's just me speaking out loud. Reed is an offensive guru. Harbs is a special teams guy. Yep. That's how it's always been. NFL is a joke, and honestly, if I didn't grow up as a Ravens fan and fall in love with the team, I'd only watch college football. I mean, you can still choose to just not watch NFL football anymore. Sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I feel like I could just sit back and just watch college football. It's so simple. I always tell people that are trying to get into the NFL, don't fall in love with the team. Do not become a fan of a football team. Do not dedicate your life to one team. Don't make the mistakes we have. Please don't make the mistakes we've had. Just enjoy the sport. Be a free fan. Choose to watch whoever you want to watch, but do not dedicate yourself to one team. Do not do it. They never give Lamar a number 1 receiver, and they're paying the price. Flowers is a Robin, not a Batman. We'll see. We'll see how it goes with Zay Flowers, but it is what it is at this point. He should have been gone after 2021. Yeah, but he wasn't. Greg Roman was a hardball buddy, which is why he stayed too long. It was always going to be a problem, bro. Harbs last year, this year, Super Bowl, or you're fired. If that happens, I would be pissed because I felt it should have happened the year before when you lost in the AFC title game. You had the perfect transition. Mike McDonald was right there. Move off of Harbs. Give McDonald the job. Zachary Orr could be the defensive coordinator. You know who's going to help manage that defense? McDonald as your head coach. No, let's stick with another year hardball. And now McDonald gets to take his talents to Seattle, and he's going to change life for them. I did not realize I was muted. What happened? I did not realize I was muted. Am I good now? Am I still good? I did not realize I was muted. I did not realize I was muted. Am I good now? I could have sworn my mic was on. I might have accidentally pressed it. I could have sworn my mic was on. I did not realize. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know when that happened. I don't even know when. I legitimately don't know when. With this microphone, legitimately, if you touch the top, any contact here happens. So I actively do not. I don't know when it happened. I might have accidentally touched it or something, but I don't know when my microphone turned off. Thought you were looking at Celtics highlights while muted. I would never watch Celtics highlights. There's nothing for me to watch. There's nothing for me to watch when it comes to Celtics highlights. There's no excitement watching Celtics highlights. I'm sorry, man. Y'all don't have any exciting players, man. Jason Tatum, it doesn't excite anybody. You know who excites people? You know who excites people? Anthony Edwards. Banner 18. Yeah, y'all got that 18 banner. You know, the funny thing about it is that y'all won the championship and y'all started crying because nobody cared and everybody moved on. Y'all won the championship. Nobody cared. Everybody moved on because the Olympics was on the way. And y'all kept crying about how people weren't giving you guys your credit for winning the banner. Y'all were legitimately that meme. That meme that has that one guy that's screaming, "We won the championship!" And you got the group of people all together, and that one person looks up, gives you the thumbs up, and goes back to their conversation. Y'all cried for weeks on social media because nobody cared that y'all won the championship. Everybody was focused on the Olympics and can't wait and were excited to see LeBron and Steph and Kenny play together. And y'all, I just kept seeing it day after day after day after day. Good morning, Celtics fans. We won the championship. Why isn't anybody talking about us winning the championship? People are just forgetting Jason Tatum a champion now. Jason Tatum at the age of 27, a champion. Like, y'all just kept going on and on and on. And I could not believe a team, a franchise, a fan base as spoiled as you guys are actively crying because nobody is giving you credit or talking about your championship. I thought y'all didn't care what people had to say about y'all, but nah, y'all kept crying because nobody wanted to give you your credit. Y'all are spoiled, and y'all showed it this offseason. Y'all spoiled because y'all were crying that no one wanted to give you credit. Y'all spoiled because nobody cared about Jason Tatum becoming an NBA champion. You thought that would get him into top 5 conversations. It didn't. You thought people were going to respect Jason Tatum after a championship. It didn't. In fact, people still look at him as a role player because he wasn't the primary reason they won. And Jaylen Brown taking over in the finals in the key moments of the game. Go back and look at Game 3. That was all Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown taking over in the key moments of the NBA Finals and winning Finals MVP hurt some of y'all because everybody looked at Jason Tatum and said, hey, you got carried to a championship. Y'all still mad about that. Y'all mad about the fact that Jason Tatum wasn't getting minutes in in the Olympic Games because like he's a top 5 player, he should be getting it. Nobody considers Jason Tatum a top 5 player but you guys. Y'all mad about a lot of things, man. Y'all Celtics fans are mad about a lot of things. And y'all spent the entire offseason crying about it. And I found it absolutely hilarious. Y'all won the championship and y'all could not stop crying about it. Because nobody was giving you any props. We cry, that's the Heat and 76ers. They're non-threat. We could be non-threats. That's perfectly fine. We could be non-threats. We're going to keep to ourselves and do our thing. And try to fight. We know where we are. We weren't crying. I can tell you this. When the Heat won when we won our championship way back a decade ago, we weren't crying when people were saying certain things. Oh, man, Ray Allen said LeBron James' legacy. We didn't care. We did not care what y'all had to say. Y'all won a championship and y'all started crying. We won a championship and we celebrated. And yeah, we ain't won a championship in a decade, and it's unfortunate. You know, we didn't know what this Jimmy Butler era was going to bring to the table. We hoped we would have won a championship, but we didn't get it done. I can't speak for Sixers fans. Those dudes cry all the time. I ain't gonna lie. They keep crying and keep making excuses for Joel Embiid not getting out the second round. So, I can't speak for Sixers fans. You went all the way back-to-back. Yeah, you know, we did. We went back-to-back, too. We went back-to-back, and we didn't cry about it. We didn't cry when people sat back and said it was unfair for us. But I'm just saying, y'all Celtics fan won a championship, and you cried because nobody respects Jason Tatum. If there's anything I learned this offseason, nobody respects Jason Tatum, and y'all actively hate that that's the case. Jason Tatum doesn't get the respect he deserves. He's not respected. He's not even regarded as a top 5 player. It hurts y'all to this day. And y'all just got mad and started crying that nobody wanted to give y'all credit for winning a championship. Nobody cared. These networks just stopped talking about it like 2 days after y'all won the championship and immediately moved to LeBron, KD, and Steph are going to play in the Olympics. How's this going to go? Can Team USA get it done? Hey guys, we won the championship. You know, Jason Tatum's an NBA champion. Remember when you said we couldn't do that? Remember you said yeah, it was like, that's cool now. We're talking about LeBron, KD, and Steph. Nobody cares about JT. But we won the championship. Y'all said JT and JP can't do it. You said the Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum duo was a failure. They wouldn't win a championship. Where's our credit now? That's cool. We don't care. We're watching LeBron, Steph, and KD make magic in the Olympics. Keep that nonsense to yourself. Y'all started crying because nobody wanted to give y'all credit. And that was the funniest thing. As a Heat fan, I was laughing because I know for a fact if I was sitting here trying to pump my chest up about LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh and no one gave them credit, that'd have been fun. That'd have been fun. They barely made magic. Let's be real. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. That was a magical moment, those final 2 matchups, bro. That matchup, when Jokic almost beat this team, and you had to, like, those last 2 games with Steph Curry and LeBron James saying, we not going to lose, that was magic. Oh, they were talking about that for weeks. Legitimately, woo! I never thought it was possible. But because of what was happening throughout the Olympics, for the first time ever, we saw LeBron fans and Steph fans come together. It felt like 2 gangs coming together to do right for the community, man. It was a beautiful thing. The second the Olympics ended, both sides looked at each other and just said, this was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed this moment. But we got to go back to be rivals. LeBron fans and Steph fans, they found out something about themselves. They actually enjoy each other's company. Unfortunately, they're rivals. So they can't enjoy each other's company unless LeBron and Steph team up. So now that's the next topic of discussion. Oh yeah, Joker was cooking. You know, it's a shame. You know, we could have used Jason Tatum's top 5 performance playing, right? We could have used that top 5 player in Jason Tatum to help us when Jokic was cooking. Unfortunately, Jason Tatum was riding the bench because he wasn't doing anything. When they did put him in, he was awful. All I know is the top 5 player, the superstar player, was unplayable in the Olympics. But my guy was playable the entire time. I don't remember anybody saying Bam was not playable. Bam and AD were playable. You couldn't find a reason to not have Bam out there. I'm just saying, Jason Tatum was riding the bench. Bam was doing his thing. That's all I'm saying, bro. If you took a poll right now, who would you rather have as a teammate, Bam or JT? I know who's winning that. It's going to be Bam. You take a poll with everybody that was on that roster for the Olympic teams. Who would you rather have as a teammate, Bam or JT? JT ain't winning that one. JT ain't winning that one. He ain't. And yes, JT's a better player. Nobody cares. I'd rather have Bam. I don't need JT over here pouting on the sideline because he's not in the game. And that's the funny part. Your top 5 player was over here pouting at the sideline because he couldn't play. Meanwhile, right next to him, Tyrese Halliburton wasn't playing, and he was smiling. He was having a great time. Tyrese Halliburton didn't play for majority of the Olympics. Not a single soul was crying about that. I don't remember hearing Pacers fans crying about Tyrese not playing. I don't remember hearing Tyrese Halliburton fans being uproar because their guy wasn't playing. Speaks volumes. You mean you only had one Heat player? Absolutely. We only needed one. Why get the others? We only needed one to get the job done. Y'all tried to bring 3 in. Bring 3 in. And it was funny. It was really funny. Jaylen Brown wasn't good enough to qualify, apparently. Jaylen Brown, finals MVP. Apparently he wasn't good enough to be on this Olympic team. Y'all brought in Derek White. So let me get this straight. Jaylen Brown wasn't good enough to make this Olympic team. And Jason Tatum, the top 5 player, was virtually unplayable in the Olympics. Seems like the 2 best players on that team is Derek White and Drew Holiday. Interesting. That's all I got to say about that. Jaylen Brown wasn't good enough to make this team, but Derek White was. Jason Tatum was unplayable in the Olympics, but they played Drew Holiday. You know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. They do have a big 2 in Boston. It's Derek White and it's Drew Holiday. I should have known that. I knew it. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're 3 and 4. I should have known. The real top 2 players, your real duo, is Derek White and Drew Holiday. The amount of times they've saved you guys. They're the real duo. Who cares about this other? These 2 guys? Nah, bro. Y'all don't win without Drew Holiday and Derek White, the real stars of the Celtics. Should have known. All I know is Jaylen Brown wasn't good enough to qualify. They had a free spot. Kawhi Leonard said, I'm going home. He came to take pictures and left. Oh, Kawhi Leonard's gone? Perfect spot for Jaylen Brown. Nah, we don't need Jaylen Brown. Let's get the real star of the Celtics, Derek White. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum, the top 5 player, supposedly, is sitting on the bench while Derek Wright and Drew Holiday are legitimately in the game in key situations down the stretch. Key situations of the game, you got either Drew Holiday or Derek White out there. Very interesting. Woo! I ain't gonna say nothing about nothing. 2-time champion Drew Holiday. He might be the best player on the Celtics. Or is it Derek White? Interesting. No. I'm just saying, if I had a top 5 player on my team, he wouldn't be seen as a number 3 or number 4 on my own team. That's all I'm saying. Anthony Edwards is the best player on his team. He's clearly number 1. I don't know about Jason Tatum. He might be 3 on that squad. He might be 4. I don't know. All I'm saying is when it comes to who shows up in the biggest moments, who's clutcher, Drew Holiday and Derek White have been the 2 best. And number 3 has been Jaylen Brown. Tatum might be the 4th best player on his team. Damn, that's crazy. But he's top 5. See, I shouldn't even be doing this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Who do Ravens play next week? I'm sorry. If me and Ravens C get in it, if we just get back and forth on this, it's a wrap. He brought up the Celtics, and I knew I had to be petty here. It's a wrap. Because I can spin the narrative as much as possible. You're right. We can't say that, bro. We can't say it with this team. I mean, it's not like we haven't, won 3 championships, but we can't say it with this team that this Heat team's champion. He could be the 5th best player, don't matter the champ, something the Heat can't say. Yeah, we can't say it with this iteration of the Heat. You're right. Man, it's just crazy. Jason Tatum, that top 5 player, really has the luxury of just being the 5th best player on his team because he's stacked. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having a team that's stacked? He doesn't know what it means to be a true number 1, He didn't have to pull a Jimmy Butler where he had to carry his team. He didn't have to carry his team. Jason Tatum got to kick his feet up and win an easy ring because he had better players than him. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler had to carry his team to the finals. He had to carry his team to 2 finals, something Tatum has never been able to do. He can't carry. Tatum can't carry. He's just the fifth best player. I wish the Heat had the luxury. I wish the Heat had all the talent the Celtics had. Because I would love to see Jimmy Butler just cruise. Jimmy Butler cruising to a championship the way Tatum did. I mean, virtually no competition. You got better players on the team than you. You can legitimately stuff the stat sheet. Literally stat pad in the fourth quarter because your numbers look like garbage for 3 quarters. But hey, Derek White saved you. Drew Holiday saved you. Jaylen Brown saved you. So you can stat pad in the fourth quarter of playoff games and pretend that you were a top 5 player. Really nice, I really like how Jason Tatum can just pretend to be a top 5 player when he's not even the 3rd best player on his team. I wish Jimmy Butler had that luxury. We'd have multiple championships right now. Let's be honest. If Burrow was out there and lost the way he did, they would blame everybody but him. Lamar needs to be held to a standard, but we can't admit that the media ignores issues outside of him. Dude, if Burrow was out there and we lost the way they did, they're not blaming Joe Burrow for that. Burrow has gotten a pass because he's beaten Mahomes to win a Super Bowl. They wouldn't blame Burrow for that. They really wouldn't. I've watched Burrow play bad against Mahomes and the Chiefs. They did not blame him. But with Lamar, they will. And I have no problem holding Lamar accountable and holding him to a standard. He's a 2-time MVP. I have no problem with that. But Burrow, I've seen them make excuses for Burrow. I have. I've seen them make excuses with Josh Allen. I have. Because Josh Allen has won games against Mahomes. Burrow beat Mahomes to get to a championship. They'll make excuses for them. They don't do that with Lamar because he's only beaten Mahomes once. Not to mention Lamar is just held to a different standard in terms of how they talk about him. Professional Tatum hater? Nah, it's only because Raven C's here. I don't have a problem with Tatum. But when Raven C's here, nah, we got to amp that up. But it's fun. I could legitimately do that with any player. I could just take away what they do. Even some of the best, you can take away what they do. You could really push an agenda on an NBA player if you wanted to. That's just how we do it. He berates me over the Heat. I berate him over the Celtics. He's got the one up, though, because they got the championship. We didn't win one. All I can do as a Heat fan is sit back and say if we were healthy. That's it. Like, he's sitting there with a championship. All I can do as a Heat fan is say, hey, you played us when we didn't have Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier. That's all I have. That's all I can say. Doesn't matter. It's not like the Heat are going to win the championship this year. We haven't made any type of major moves. Should have got Dame last year. If we would have got Dame last year, we would have won the championship. But who knows? With the way we are, is, man, I'm realizing my teams are really the same. Oh my God, my football and basketball teams are really the same. Because we're cheap as hell. We won't. What move has Pat Riley made in the recent? We couldn't get Dame. Oh my God, my football and basketball teams are the same. We keep trying to win a championship in the most difficult way possible. We're just expecting Jimmy Butler to go God mode in the playoffs and carry. How the hell are you going to win with Tyler Hero? Freaking got Tyler Hero. You got Highsmith. You've got Caleb Martin, who's no longer on the team now. Like, we're trying to win with a year 2 Nikola Jovic. Like, we really trying to win this on the most difficult process. Jaime Jaquez, love him. We trying to win. You can't just put Jimmy and Bam out there and say, go beat the rest. That's not how that works, man. You cannot just say, hey, Jimmy, Bam, go beat the rest. That's not how that works. And I don't even know how you rate Terry Rozier. He got hurt before we could get a full assessment. Oh, my God, my team. Oh, no. They're just like the Ravens, bro. They won't pay anybody, and they won't make any major trades. Pat Riley's just sleeping in the front office. Oh, my God. I didn't even think about that. It's just sleeping. Somebody tell Alonzo Mourning to go wake up Pat Riley. Oh my God. What is Alonzo Mourning's just sitting right next to Pat Riley, and I have not. What? I'm not going to get into it. I love Alonzo Mourning to just get into it, because I was about to say, what does he do? But I'm going to just leave it like that, bro. At least wake the old man up and tell him, hey, we got to go make some moves. Go pick somebody up. We really did nothing this offseason again. just going to sit here and be like, oh, well, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo's got it. Well, you've got Eric Spoelstra. So Eric Spoelstra has to come up with 65,000 different plays to try to run the win in the playoffs. Okay. Pat Riley gets to snooze in the front office, but Eric Spoelstra has to come up with 60 different ways to try to beat the Celtics with Nikola Jovic, Caleb Martin, Tyler Hero. What type of God mode type of play is this? You expect us to try to speed run this on God mode? What was Eric Spoelstra supposed to do in that playoff series? He had Bam and a few good men. You told Eric Spoelstra to go beat Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and a deep roster with Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Nikola Jovic, Caleb. My teams, bro. My teams. I can't even do nothing with this. Because I'm really thinking about it. Both the Heat and the Ravens they're so damn cheap. Go make a move and bring somebody in. Eric DeCosta has the opportunity to try to go get an offensive player. He don't want to do it. Pat Riley's sleeping in the front office. Eric Spoelstra has to somehow carry a sub-tier squad to the playoffs and then figure out how to beat the best teams in basketball with borderline G League players. What the... Why did I become a fan, bro? Oh, man, I miss D-Wade. I miss Chris Bosh, bro. Like, bro, why is it so difficult to go find somebody? Go find us a Mike Miller. Man, this is crazy, bro. This is crazy, dog. The sad reality is my basketball team and my football team are the exact same. It's just not going to get over the hump. At least Eric Spoelstra, he deserves his title as coach. I don't want Eric Spoelstra to go anyway. He's one of the best coaches in basketball. He's not sitting there with a top-tier player. Not like Harbaugh that's wasting all his talent. Harbaugh got the talent and the advantage. He can't get it done. Spoelstra has to pull off the impossible with borderline G League players. It's not fair. That's not fair. Matter of fact, switch him. Eric Spoelstra, come coach my basketball. Not my basketball. Come coach my football team. Eric Spoelstra, come coach my football team. Harbaugh, go deal with the Miami Heat real quick. Maybe that'll do something. I need Eric Spoelstra. Somebody teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football and then have him come coach this team. We will not lose a game. We do need another coach at some point. I don't even know if this is going to be Harbaugh's last year or not. Harbaugh's a Doc Rivers of the NFL. I've said that for a while now. Harbaugh's safe as long as we make the playoffs. Pretty much. We know that. Harbs is the reason. It's kind of the reason the Ravens haven't won big. He's played a factor because he's consistently gotten out coached. We have a top 5 running back now and arguably 2 top 5 to 10 tight ends and Zay as a wide receiver. You've got all this talent in the world and it feels like we're going to waste it. Harbaugh deserves criticism, but the 2 timeouts wasted would because of Zachary Orr. Yeah, put the blame on him for that one. I will definitely agree because both of those were timeouts that happened because of defensive mistakes and they want to make substitutions. I've been here for 2 hours. I think I should cut this off. I think that's enough of a therapy session because I started going off about basketball and talking about the Miami Heat. Oh my God, we've talked about pretty much everything we needed to talk about in terms of Week 1. I think everybody at least is ready to move on for the most part. You guys ready to move on to the Raiders? It's been 2 days. I hope everybody is ready to move on to the Raiders. Week 1 is Week 1. You suffered the loss. We already know there's issues with this team. It's a work in progress. We'll continue to see how this develops as the season goes on. But let's move to Week 2. There's a lot of long-term issues and internal issues that need to be addressed and personal feelings we have against guys like Harbaugh. But it is what it is. Harbaugh don't even get engaged with play calling like Spoelstra. Bro, get somebody, please. I need somebody to head down to South Beach. You know what? Hold on. Give me. Can someone find Bill Parcells? Can someone find Parcells? Where is Parcells right now? Let me look this up real quick. You know what? Bill Belichick has time, right? Bill Belichick has time. He's on television, right? Can somebody do me a favor and like reach out to somebody needs to do me a favor, reach out to Bill Belichick and find a way. If you got I'll help pay for it if I got to. I need him to get a first class ticket down to South Beach. I need him to meet up with Eric Spoelstra, and I need Bill Belichick to teach Eric Spoelstra how to coach football. Then I need Eric Spoelstra to come to Baltimore and become my head coach. Because Eric Spoelstra will come up with 60 different plans to deal with the nonsense we're dealing with. If Eric Spoelstra was the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, we would be a champion right now. Because I know Spoelstra will be coming up with so many countermeasures. I've watched Spoelstra make G League players look like all-stars. Do you know what Spoelstra could do with this roster? He would turn this O-line right around. He would turn this offensive line around. Eric Spoelstra would turn this offensive line into a top 5 unit. This man will find key matchups. I will tell you this for a fact. Eric Spoelstra will specifically make sure Marlon Humphrey plays in the slot because he knows Humphrey will win that matchup every single time. Somebody go teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football. Teach him that. I know he can coach this game, and then tell him to come down to Baltimore. Because Eric Spoelstra would be able to coach circles around Andy Reid's game plan. Because every single aspect of nonsense Andy Reid tries to play, Eric Spoelstra will have countermeasures for that. And unlike in Miami, Spoelstra will have the talent to fight back. He's not going to have to sit there and try to take on all-star players with G League players. Nah. Someone go teach Eric Spoelstra the game of basketball. Not the game of basketball, the game of football. Someone go teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football. Please. Somebody go teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football. He will coach circles around Andy Reid's game plan. He will dissect it. Matter of fact, in my own personal fantasy, steal Mike McDonald back from Seattle, make him the defensive coordinator. Bring Eric Spoelstra here and make him the offensive coordinator. I guarantee you, Eric Spoelstra will coach circles around Andy Reid's schemes. I kid you not. He will find if there's any coach that will find a way to make it work with subpar talent, it's this guy. I don't care what Mahomes and that offense does. Eric Spoelstra will find a way because he has the talent. Eric Spoelstra will have this defense pick it off Mahomes 3 times. Because he'll look for it. Oh, you want to keep trying to go for Kelsey. He will have a safety right there. Somebody get Bill Belichick on a flight right now to Miami. Get Bill Belichick to South Beach and have Bill Belichick teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football. Eric Spoelstra will coach circles around. And bro, Eric Spoelstra versus Mike Tomlin would not be a conversation. This offensive line will not be looking like this with Eric Spoelstra as a head coach. I guarantee you, bro. Eric Spoelstra, you know what? Eric Spoelstra would probably pull a double team on Chris Jones. Matter of fact, we all talked about Mark Andrews being a problem. He would use matter of fact, no. Who's our best blocking tight end between the 3? Who's our best blocking tight end between Likely, Andrews, and Kolar? I'm thinking it might be Kolar. He might pull a 3 tight end set. Spoelstra will pull a 3 tight end set, have Andrews, Likely, and Kolar out there with Patrick Ricard for extra protection. They're going to double team Chris Jones. They're going to have extra protection with Patrick Ricard as an extra blocker. And I'm telling you, this is what Spoelstra will do. This is what Spoelstra will do. Spoelstra will look at this and say, Chris Jones is a problem. I know what to do. I'll take him out the game. Chris Jones will he would have to face 2 aspects. He'll get double teamed by the offensive line. He would have an extra blocker coming up with Patrick Ricard. He will have this team making sure Chris Jones doesn't touch Lamar Jackson. He would not have Justice Hill out there blocking. No. I'm telling you, Eric Spoelstra will see the issue. He will come up with countermeasures. This is what he does. I've watched Eric Spoelstra work miracles with G League players. You ain't gonna tell me about no Chris Jones with Eric Spoelstra. Man, Chris Jones is getting double teamed with a side of Patrick Ricard in his face. And he's gonna have some extra help with Andrews and Kolar out there, and likely will still find a way to get open. Spoelstra would go no huddle. Trust me, in the second half in big games, Spoelstra actually knows how to utilize his talent and trust in his players, and he knows Lamar is great in no. He'll know. Lamar is great when it comes to no huddle. When it comes to these fast tempo offense, when you just put the ball in Lamar's hands and let him make the decisions, Spoelstra will go no huddle. Those 2-minute offensive drills would be no huddle offense. Spoelstra wouldn't even try to do a whole, let's get a play, come back, let's get slow, no. He will have these guys getting set fast. Man, you don't even understand. Spoelstra would have this team. He would have this team right where they need to be. I can guarantee you, a Spoelstra-led team is not committing these offensive penalties. I'm telling you, Marlon Humphrey wouldn't see the outside again. Marlon Humphrey would strictly be in a slot in an Eric Spoelstra team. He would sit back and he would probably, if this is Eric Spoelstra, it's going to be Humphrey in the slot. He's going to play Stevens, and he's going to play Stevens on one side, Wiggins on the other side, with your safeties in Hamilton and Marcus Williams. Also, he's going to make sure, he's going to alternate, he's going to have, because again, on the side, he's going to have Roquan Smith on the right side, Trenton Simpson on the left side, and he's going to make sure when it comes to Rashid Rice, when he's coming underneath, he's going to make sure consistently Trenton Simpson is right next to him. I'm telling you, if you teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football and let him coach his Ravens team, he'd do a better job than John Harbaugh. And Eric Spoelstra is also a player's coach because his players love him. He'll teach a certain way, but he's a player's coach. Forcing the ball to Zay Flowers 4 straight times, that won't happen with Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra's not going to have us trying to force feed the ball to Zay Flowers. Those wide receiver screens, gone. You know what's going to happen? With Eric Spoelstra, we going to run a running back screen. Again, extra protection. You're going to shift. If it's going to be on the left side that the screen is, you're going to have both Andrews and Likely, or Andrews and Kolar. On the left side, it's going to be a running back screen with the extra protection in blocking with Patrick Ricard. So you're going to shift the offensive line to the left side because you already know it's going to be a screen towards the left. Spoelstra will shift the offensive line to the left side. He'll have both Andrews and Kolar, or Andrews and Likely, on that left side, and he'll have Patrick Ricard as a blocker. Spoelstra will make sure this team is where it needs to be. Harbaugh doesn't do it like that, man. I'm telling you, bro, if Eric Spoelstra was the head coach of this football team, I would never have concerns again. Nah, I'm not talking about those wide receiver screens don't even work. But a running back screen, Derrick Henry would be getting it. I'm telling you, if it was Eric Spoelstra coaching this team, you're going to have, and when it comes to the wide receiver, when it comes to the screen, it's not going to be a wide receiver screen. It's going to be a running back screen with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's going to get the screen. He's going to have the offensive line shift towards the left side, 2 tight ends on that left side, and he's going to have Patrick Ricard as an extra blocker, just to make sure Derrick Henry's going to have all the protection he needs. Man, Eric Spoelstra would have this team ready every Sunday. I wish Eric Spoelstra was the head coach of my football team. Eric Spoelstra has to make it work with G League players, and Harbaugh gets to have all the talent in the world and squander it. That's just not fair. Switch roles. Someone please go tell Bill Belichick to go teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football, and then have Eric Spoelstra come coach my football team. If Eric Spoelstra was legitimately, if Eric Spoelstra was the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, this team would play a lot faster. We'd be a lot faster. We'd be a lot more efficient. You ain't going to see those defensive mistakes if Spoelstra was here. He'd straighten that up. You ain't going to see those offensive penalties if Spoelstra was here. He'd straighten that up. There would be so many things you would not see if Eric Spoelstra was the head coach of my Ravens. Life is unfair, man. Why does Eric Spoelstra gotta be my basketball coach? Why do you gotta be my basketball coach with this level of talent, bro? He's one of the greatest coaches ever. Top 10 coach all time. And he has to deal with G League players. Somebody please go teach Eric Spoelstra the game of football and have him coach the Ravens. Did the Ravens offense do a no-huddle offense against the Chiefs? I don't recall. That final drive they might have at some point. I think they actually attempted to do no huddle. After the Bateman play? After the Bateman play, they tried to go no huddle instead of spiking the ball. So I think that was a moment where they did. And in that case, a lot of people were saying spike the ball. We don't have that much time because Bateman stayed in bounds. He came down and stayed in bounds. So because he stayed in bounds, the clock was running. Everybody said instead of them going no huddle, they should probably spike the ball. They didn't spike the ball. They went no huddle, and that was the first down play. Spiking the ball would have made more sense. They didn't do it. The one time they decided to go no huddle, it was in that situation where they probably should have spiked the ball. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Anyway, guys, I've been here for over 2 hours. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. I should probably call it here. Wasn't it canon at one point that if you're a ground and pound team, you like to get up to the line and keep smashing them with run game? I don't get this run the play clock philosophy. I don't get a lot of things the Ravens do, man. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it here. Week 1 for the Ravens is already in the books, but Week 1 obviously really kicks off today because it's Sunday. So many football games are going to be happening. We'll see how things go for the most part. But Ravens already moved on to Week 2. Ravens already moved on to Week 2, and we're looking forward to taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe it's going to be at home. I think it's going to be our home opener. And I expect the Ravens to win that game, which they're probably going to. They might even win it in dominant fashion, and people will just pretend that the problems that happen aren't there. Oh, I can't wait, bro. Watch the Ravens win in a dominant fashion against the Raiders, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, we're back. Look at this. Yeah, man, look at the talent. It's just like, everybody knew this talent was here. I don't think a single person thought the Ravens weren't going to make the playoffs. No, it's about matchups, bro. When it comes to the playoffs, it's about matchups. I don't doubt that this offense is going to be a top 10, arguably top 5 offense if Lamar stays healthy. He's probably going to put up another MVP type season, and the Ravens are going to win 12 plus games, and the defense is going to be top 10, arguably. None of that's going to matter if you can't pull it together against Kansas City in the playoffs. So that's kind of where we're at. I try to tell fans that we need to come into this season with an understanding that the regular season does not matter. Obviously, they got to get to January, and we expect them to, but the regular season doesn't matter. It's only certain matchups where we look to see how they perform and how they stand up. Week 1 was a test, and they failed. Week 1 was a clear test, and they failed. They'll also have tests against teams like Buffalo, teams like Philadelphia, teams like Cincinnati, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. And, of course, Pittsburgh will be another test because they have yet to really consistently beat Pittsburgh at all over the last few years. So there's few tests in the regular season, but this team won't be assessed until January. So pander your expectations. I don't care how good they look in the regular season. I remember seeing a tweet out there that someone said in regards to Ravens. Someone was like, the Ravens are the only team currently in this era. They're the only team that could go 17-0. Actually, no, I don't know if they said currently in this era or as the only team, but it was something like the Ravens are the only team that can go 17-0 and we still wouldn't trust them in the playoffs. That's the reputation you have right now. And it's fair. It's fair. You've been the number 1 seed twice, and you haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. So I think it's fair to make that assessment. At the end of the day, Ravens are going to make the playoffs. I don't think anyone's panicking about that. But it's just, when you get to January, can this team stop hurting themselves and pull it together? And a lot of us don't believe that's going to happen in the John Harbaugh era. As long as he's the head coach, we don't see that happening because John Harbaugh always loses his mind whenever he plays against Andy Reid. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to give that brief wrap-up. I'm going to head on out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. It's almost 1 in the morning. I should probably get some sleep. But yeah, this was the week 1 therapy session. We will be doing a therapy session after every game, whether we win or lose, because therapy isn't just for the negative. You can't go to a therapy session and talk about the good. It's about the good and the bad. So we'll be here. Week 2, after the Raiders, if it's a win, we'll be here. We'll be here win or lose. It's a therapy session for the season because I know Ravens Flock's going to need it. It's going to be those type of seasons. I can feel it. And we'll just go from there. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in for this long, a 2-hour stream, and I started at 11. Well, close to 11. But, yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in for so long. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to head on out, and I will see you guys later. Take care, stay safe, and peace out.